Kia ora. G'day, chat. Oh, what happened there? Just deleted it. All right. Try that again. Kia ora. G'day, chat. See if that goes through. There we go. All right, we're live. Show's on here. That's what it's got on here anyway. What's that time? Just before 6:30 should be, I think. 6:27. 6:27. Should anybody jump on here this time? Why am I doing it earlier? Well, because the last live on Monday bloody went till well after midnight. So it went for over 5 hours. So there's probably more stuff this time for tonight's live, and I probably won't get through it all. I will do my best to try to get through any comments and stuff that might come through. What's this on here? What's the little plus sign with the number showing? Nothing for there. No, don't need that. Close that. Oh, hey, Vanilla Butcher. Hello. Jason. Hey, g'day to you too, mate. Jason C. Well, there's 2 people on there, 3 including me. Where am I? Oh, Dan. Kia ora, bro. Hey, Joe. How's your week, bro? So far, so good. Busy, but a good busy. So yeah, definitely going well. Hopefully everybody's week is going well as well. Dan, hope yours is going well. Jason and Vanilla Butcher, hope you fellas are keeping well and everything's going well. Actually, I might as well, I'm just going to start now anyway. But a first shout out, not as always, because I think I'm sort of hit and miss with this and supporting the bro Joe Harawira, but shout out to Waimanuka, New Zealand's premium non-alcoholic sparkling beverage, honey and lemon. Waimanuka honey, sorry. Waimanuka honey with a splash of lemon. Keep getting that wrong. Get free shipping anywhere across NZ with discount code NZDF. I'm going to actually have a drink of this right now. I am thirsty. I have got my water here, but I'll have this as well. Well, I'll have this instead, I should say. That's nice. Going well for product. Still got plenty left. Like I said, I don't drink it every day, but it's nice to have, from time to time. Refreshing, tastes good, and supporting local businesses in Kiwi made. So shout out Joe Harawira, waimanuka.co.nz. That's that. Oh, what do we got here? Dan's a bit busy, but good also. Good to hear. Is that in shops? Sounds nice. It is nice. It's in a few shops. If you check out waimanuka.co.nz, they'll have a list of stores of where you can buy it from. New World, some New Worlds and stuff have got it. Otherwise, you order it online. It's got a list of a whole bunch of other places in that as well. But it's, so he's hustling. So working hard to, I think he'd like to get it in every store, but small steps. Mind you, it seems like he's taking some big steps as he goes, really. Like he's got a deal with Google here in NZ. He's got a deal with businesses in New York City. I think he might still be in the States at the moment. And he's got some meetings and stuff coming up, I think, in Australia sometime soon. So shout out to the bro Joe Harawira. And I'm privileged to, take the opportunity and try and support him where I can and at least spread the word. There's no kickbacks to me, so go straight through www.waimanuka.co.nz. Go direct to them and have a look at their stuff. Cool, keen to try it, as long as it's not too sweet. No, I don't think it's too sweet, and I'm a sweet tooth. I think it's just right. Well, actually, to be honest, I wouldn't mind if it was sweeter. Robert Kiwi, chair, look at that. A minute in, an hour early, and already 8 watching here. Is there 8 watching? Where's that? Oh, it shows 5 on my the little profile thing of what I'm looking at. So yeah, anyway, if there's 8 watching, I'll take it. That's cool. Where are we? First, after that, so mention Waimanuka. A bit of a shout out. Rubber Kiwi 10 now. Okay. Well, my one's definitely not showing 10, but I'll take it. Nims Purge, I'm going to share the screen. This guy, rest in peace. to this man. What a legend, eh? In terms of what he's achieved, what he's done. Sad to hear that he had passed away. But I want to watch this, or I'm going to play this, I should say. Let me just... Oh, bloody hell. Go to post. Yeah, that's the one. Oh, yeah, come on, bro. Oh, what's happening here? Why is the audio not working? I bugged something up. Well, that's going to be no good if I want to share this screen with our stuff that's playing. Was working before. Well, waste of time sharing that. What is it? No, that's mutes that. Edit. No. Now, let me turn this off, see if that does anything. Oh, there we go. Audio comms good, bro. Oh, audio comms good. Thanks, Charlie29. And also, shout out Charlie29. I forgot to mention this before too. Follow dropped by my house again a few days ago, maybe over a week ago. Brought me another, what's it called? I just keep calling it a blinking donut. But I think it's got some other specific name. Raspberry jam donut. Is that what it is? Charlie29. Anyway, I devoured that thing. I did, while my son was here, I did offer him if he wanted some, but I think he knew that I was just didn't really mean it. I was just saying it to be polite. He goes, oh, no, you can have it, Dad. So, yeah, so I did. So I said, okay, thank you. 3 nuts, kia ora, g'day. Where is Hammerhead27? He's running late, perhaps. He's running some cases through the High Court representing Sergeant Paulbag. Can hear you good, Joe. Okay, that's good. Raspberry cream bun. Okay, raspberry cream bun. I enjoyed that. Anyway, I ate it all. Did a fake, trying to be kind offer to my son, and yeah, he knows me well and said, no, it's all right. Anyway, let's share the screen. Rest in peace to the man Nims Perja, who tragically passed away in this avalanche that took place not that long ago. We'll play.
From Nepal, we never know about the special forces, so I joined in the Gurkhas, and then we started hearing about names. There's like a thing called UK special forces, like SAS and SBS. They operate from air, water, underwater and land, everything. So I was like, yes, I want to be part of that cool group. I used to wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning.
What time did you go to bed?
Gurkhas are cool, man. Really, really humble people and awesome soldiers too. So, yeah, sad. Anyway, sorry to interrupt that. Let me carry on.
I'll tell you now, mate. So 1 o'clock, I wake up in the morning. Then I carry 75, pounds in my back, and I run 20 kilometers.
With 75 pounds on your back, you were running?
Running 20 kilometers. Then I arrive at the military barracks. Then I start my normal military running. That could be, 8-miler run or, assault training or whatever that military, physical training is. I do that. Then, because I was with the engineers, that means, I was on this, kind of like building any structure finisher. So the whole day we're like, plastering the wall and doing that. It's full on labor work. And in the evening,
I didn't know he was an engineer as well. But it's interesting listening to this. Let me just carry on. Sorry.
I run that 20 kilometers back again, clean fatigue. So clean fatigue means no burden, but I run that distance back again to my house. Quick foot. I go to the gym, and then I cycle 64 kilometers on the push bike.
This is one day?
One day. And then, like coming from Nepal, it's a landlocked country. I had never swum. Swimming is my weakest thing. And I front crawl swim 100 lane in 25-meter pool. And I did like that for 6 months, 6 days. I never said, oh, today, it's raining. I never said today I'm tired. I never said today, there's snow outside. Never. The friends were saying was like, Nims, it's not only about physical. You need to have, a great sense of humor. You need to have, common sense and all that. So I was like, okay. Then I start looking into English sense of humor. So when you go on the selection, they will just like the instructor, the DS, we call it, directing staff would call it, hey, come here and tell me a joke. And the Nepalese joke is completely different to English sense of humor. So every day I used to prepare different jokes, and I used to go in front and I used to say like different jokes. And this is how much I was prepared, and this is how much I was willing to give. And yeah, in 200 years of history, I became the first Gurkha ever to pass the selection for SBS. My success is not a coincidence. What I believe in is making things happen. So I grew up dreaming to be a Gurkha. So that forget everything. We didn't even have like flip-flops. You know, forget the food. We didn't even have like to eat meat. We had to wait for like a big festival like Christmas. So when I was like, 15, 16-year-old, I used to wake up at 1 o'clock at night. And I used to go like, without permission, I used to run 30 kilometers in the morning before like anybody finds out. And I come and pretend like I'm waking from my bed, and I used to, walk with a toothbrush and toothpaste, pretending I have never left the compound. When I joined for the Gurkha, when I went for the selection, there were like 32,000 people applying for it.
Wow.
And only 230 can make it. Then, coming from Nepal, we never know about the special forces. So I joined in the Gurkhas, and then we started hearing about names, There's like, a thing called, UK Special Forces, like SAS and SPF. They operate from air, water, underwater and land, everything. So I was like, yes, I want to be.
Cool. So, sorry, I think I started that at the wrong point, or didn't get it right at the start, just the way, I guess, Instagram Reels and stuff play. But rest in peace to this legend. 14 Peaks, if people haven't seen it or know of him on Netflix. That was where I first saw and heard about this guy. And then, sad to hear the news not that long ago in terms of he was one of the bodies found, I think, alongside 4 others in an avalanche that took place. I think he was leading and guiding a group of people on a climb. And but man, what a legend this fella is, and just real simple in the work and stuff that he is doing. Oh, sorry, hang on. Here we've got here off topic, but I've been, sorry, Dan, listening to the audiobook, How to Escape from Prison. Oh, nice. Yep. This, I don't know if it's showing. This book right here, Dr. Paul Wood, How to Escape from Prison. I've got his other book too, Mental Fitness. So shout out, again, I haven't finished reading these, but shout out Dr. Paul Wood, with the work that he does and has done. What did you say? How to Escape from Prison, and it's actually amazing. Literally can relate so much and has me thinking a lot. Recommend for sure. So there you go. There's an endorsement from somebody else. I'm sure many others as well, but from Dan Kidd, recommending Dr. Paul Wood's book, How to Escape from Prison. It's definitely, it is a good read. I do need to read it more, but I have been reading that and done a couple of videos not that long ago on the channel and stuff as well with those. 3 nuts. Your mate Wasty. He's your mate. I say your brother. Your mate Wasty has now come out and now wants One Nation to preference him. He must not have found a coffin big enough for his buff head. What is that all about? He wants One Nation to what? Preference him? I don't know what that means. Fun fact: in Vietnam, Maori were known as big Gurkhas out of respect for their similar skill level. Yeah, look at that, eh? No, but they're definitely, the Gurkhas. Awesome people, awesome soldiers, but good people as well, and hearty warriors is what I would say in terms of that. Where are we? Let's get back to this, but I wanted to acknowledge NIMS, ex-SBS, ex-UKSF as well, so Gurkha and ex-UKSF, particularly Special Boat Service. So, yeah, the world is a little bit emptier without that fella doing his thing and doing all the crazy things that he's done with his life and was continuing to do. But if nothing else, I'm pleased that he's at least gone out doing what it was that he loved to do, pushing boundaries, climbing, and and being where he was. It's a shame though. Wish that avalanche didn't happen and take him and the others away. But when it's our time, it's our time. What's this guy? How useless are our immigration laws? Yep, here in NZ, our immigration laws are pretty kaka, all right. But anyway, we'll get to that as I get to some of the comments. This one here from another kind supporter of the channel. Just one question before we start. How in the truck do you successfully meet the requirements for 2 of the 3 most elite military units in history, doing things that 0 point in brackets 500 zeros, close brackets, 1% of the world's population could do, and still doubt yourself, question mark. Humble I get. Feels like you don't think you can be as successful as you want to be with the podcast. We both, full stop, we both know the only limit you have is you. You know it better than me. Trust me, people want to be someone like you. They're definitely going to want to know someone like you. Too much BS in the world. We need the straight shooters up front more than ever. You got this. One step, one breath, repeat, full stop. Thank you for that kind message. Was it feel like you can be as successful as you want to be with the podcast? I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I can be successful with whatever it is that I want to do, including YouTube. But I acknowledge, for me, my take is something like YouTube, social media. What is it? Interest media these days is something that's gonna take time. Like, I think being in it now for continuously and making the change, fully committing to YouTube, was it about 16, 17 months now? Or yeah, a little over a year, about 16 months, maybe going into 17 months now. I knew that it feels like this takes longer than doing joining an SF unit or getting onto at least selection, preparing and training for. Like, that took some time leading up to it. I suppose in reality, people might look at it and go, well, you said you wanted to join from 14. So maybe all of those years accumulated leading up to little things along the way, no doubt, probably helped to formulate reference points up in my head that I could draw on and lean on, no doubt, which I did at times once I finally got on selection. But ultimately, like, once I got into the army, that's when I sort of frame or reference from when I started properly committing to it. And realistically, even then, it wasn't until about 10 months out before selection when I really honed in on the training. So listening to Nims talking about that 6 months every day for 6 days, I think 6 days a week is talking about that, getting up extra early, doing that extra work, coming back, and then in the compound, then doing the PT required as part of his unit, then going about the full-time daily job of what it was that he was doing, which was a lot of labouring type work and that engineering role that he had. And then at the end of the day, doing more training. I can relate to that. I can connect to that. I just listening to him, I know I didn't clock up as many kilometers as what he was doing, but I clocked up a lot of kilometers and got the reps in terms of what I needed to do at those different times for what I was doing. And so, yeah, it's just nice listening to him speak. So back to this kind of comment. Yeah, I feel like I can be as successful as I want to be, but that will take time. Some of it will take a combination of time and resources, finances even, as well, especially with the podcast. Like for me, well, actually, when you say podcast, I think people look at my channel as a podcast. Maybe it is. Maybe what I'm doing is a podcast. I don't look at what I'm doing as I don't look at what I'm doing on my channel as a podcast, but maybe that's the right term. Maybe that's what it is. Because a number of other people have called my channel a podcast as well, or they've commented and say, hey, really like your podcast, or your podcast is growing. So I'll just run with it. I think this will just take some time to get to where I'd love it to eventually get to. And there's a bit of a vision for that down the track, where I'd like to be with it. But that's definitely going to take some time for me to get there. But yeah, I appreciate the kind comment and stuff in here. Oh, sorry, here we go. Very nuts. Fun fact. Oh no, I read that one. Dan, your chat on Shub's channel was awesome too, bro. Very well spoken and interesting. I already know a lot of your story, but I learned a lot and enjoyed it. Great job. Oh, thanks for that. Do you mean the one today? We had our weekly catch up today. Missed the one last week. That was my bad. I had to let him know I couldn't make it last week. But yeah, we caught up today. Dan Kid, Paul's an amazing guy for sure. He's spoken to inmates and helped untold people make better decisions in their lives and the community as a whole. His backstory is certainly a stunning one. Yeah, it's very well. You would definitely know very well, Charlie 29. But yeah, thanks Dan, thanks Charlie 29. I know that's not your real name, but that's the call sign, your handle that we're running with, rather than me calling you by your name. Yeah, that's one of the comments in here as we go through. Here we go. Here's a thought for tonight's live. So again, see this comment in the chat, not in the chat, in the message, via message on Instagram. What are the biggest differences between military and civilian life? 2, what lessons civilians could/should learn from the military? And 3, what do you think about compulsory military training? 2 years TF for everyone. That's a great topic. I've definitely got some comments and stuff to read through on some of the videos and things like that, as well as trying to stay up to date with anybody that comments on here. So forgive me if I'm looking in between, looking at the big screen on here and then trying to come back to here if there is things, just so that I don't forget those that might be on this live. And it looks like I've got 11 people on the live. So shout out to you, 11 people that are, from what I can see, on this live. Thank you for stopping by. Maybe I'll start with the third one. What do you think about compulsory military training, 2 years TF for everyone? I think that would be awesome, personally, but I've got a massive bias. I'd love for all 6 of my children, if they were still here, well, 3 of them are now in the army, so I would have loved for the other 3, short of anybody being unable to physically serve in the military due to disability or being disabled or whatever, or intellectual disabilities or serious health concerns, short of those sorts of things, within reason. If everybody else, or if other people are able, physically and mentally able, then I think it'd be awesome. Like, I think they'd get a lot out of it. And I think it'd be good for just our country in general, in terms of community wise and hopefully respect wise, and just, things that some might say old fashioned values that don't seem to be as prevalent as what they once were. But that's my 2 cents on it. I think it'd be a great thing. Where are we? Oh, what's this? TX 200 MK. Well, how do I read? It just said the thing that I just read out. Oh, yeah, sent UNC alert for 440 joules. Oh, I don't know what that means. But at TX 200 MK5 shooter. Something joules. Okay. Rubber Kiwi. The mistake everyone makes is they hear military and think war, not realizing 65 to 70% are just civilian trades trained to a higher level. There's no downside. Yeah, really, really good point, Rubber Kiwi. Like, having having that lens of things, and when people get a bit, people think whatever they think, and maybe it's a lot of negativity in and around the military. I guess some military people maybe haven't done the military any favors with some behaviors and things like that, possibly, but there's so many options. Yeah, like you said, Robert Kiwi, there's definitely a lot of options in there. So I think it would be great if none of my children were in, like I've always shared, my wife and I, because we don't have the compulsory service in NZ, my wife and I have never encouraged or discouraged our children. And I think I probably would have only encouraged our children to join the army if they didn't know what they wanted to do. I've tried to encourage our youngest daughter, who seems a bit thinking wee wah wah in terms of what it is that she wants to do. Hasn't got a clear idea yet, but different generations, and not everybody knows what they want to do at 14, right? So hopefully she'll figure it out. But that's probably at 18 and whatever. That probably would have been the time where I would have encouraged any of my children to join the army. But again, if they didn't know what they were doing, 4 of the 6 did know what they wanted to do before then, and so they've made that decision, and they're doing what they wanted to do. So I didn't have to, try to encourage anything. But yeah, to that third point, compulsory military training, I think it'd be great. What lessons is the second one? What lessons civilians could/should learn from the military? That's a big topic, bro. Dare I say, a loaded question as well. There'd be people there sitting being going, who's that fella to sit there and say what civilians could and should learn from military people? I think because there's also first responders in there as well, former police people that have spent a lot of time. They've got there's a lot of knowledge transfer, let's say, and an ability to share information, distill it down, and deliver that and communicate that to people so that they can take that on board. I mean, just look at Lincoln, Dr. Paul Wood as an example, and his backstory to get to where he is now, going from the path and the decisions that he made prior to. Pretty amazing. So yeah, very much subjective. I probably do have a number of things running through my head right now, but I think what you've got here for tonight's live, and these 3 things that you've got down, they'd probably make for good separate topic videos of me just ranting away on my monologue podcast. Monopod, we'll call this channel. Sorry. TMX, thank you for that. TX200, sorry, thank you for that. No, read that. Robert Kiwi, do it in the army first, then you can do it anywhere in the world for any price you like. Yeah, imagine that, eh? Guys going in, or guys and girls, I should say, just people in general, going into the military, getting their skills and trades and whatever it is that they want to do. And then going out and taking that out into the rest of the world. What's this? What are the biggest differences between military and civilian life? Biggest differences? That's another interesting and good question. And dare I say again, another big topic. I mean, it probably depends on what aspects you're looking at, because the same people at the end of the day, same types of people at the end of the day, but biggest differences between military and civilian life. Sorry, military and civilian life. For me, I've found, I suppose, probably easy for me to speak from some of the civilian stuff, is not having as close a connection with the people that you're working with day to day. Like civilian life, you just sort of go to work, you're with them for a period of time and then you leave. Military life, you're with them blinking 24/7. Well, it feels like it. And that has its pros and cons as well, depending on who you are and how you're wired and how much individual space and your own space that you like to have and enjoy, which we all do. But that's probably one of the main ones that stands out for me. Like, get up, I'm at work with my mates, and when I finish work, I'm still with all my mates. But that's a good thing. Key word in there being mates and people that I enjoyed being around. And it was a bonus that I got to get paid for doing a job that I enjoyed, that I loved, and being with, by and large, for the most part, with people that I really care about, and enjoyed being around. So that's probably one of the biggest differences between military life and civilian life. What else is there? I just guess there's more freedom, in civilian life. At least when I think of my time in the military, I remember my now wife needing to sneak into my barracks. Well, she didn't need to. That's what we chose to do. Sneak into the barrack block, and vice versa. When I'd go to see her, like practicing trying to be a ninja, getting up into the barracks. Especially didn't help that my sweetheart was on the 3rd floor of the females' barracks. So you're blinking, trying to ninja around and, and get up and then get to your darling's room. So whereas mine was just on the ground floor, so it was much easier for her to come over. But those sorts of things, having the freedom to just connect and well, dare I say, go where you want to go, for the most part. Yeah, there's lots of things, man. I could probably ramble on that all night, just on those 3 topics there. Those are good questions. We might come back to them. There might be comments and stuff that come up. I might do some separate videos, but appreciate you sending that through. What's this? This generation needs it more than ever, I feel. I agree too, Dan. If you're talking about the compulsory service, I think it could only help, like, the younger people learning some of those things: respect, discipline, blanking, physical health and well-being, mateship, teamwork, etc., doing some laborious work, and just basic hygiene. Fatigues, like doing fatigues and maintenance and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, there's lots of benefits to it, I reckon. I can't get my 2 boys off their computers, never mind all the way to Waiuru. Never mind all the way to Waiuru. It's interesting, man. Just on that, sorry, Dan, my point exactly. Just tell them you're practicing CT drills on your own time. One of the things that I found, that my wife and I found with regards to I suppose, getting kids off their computers, never mind all the way to Waiuru, was just not, like, at those times, we didn't buy them devices for us anyway. Right or wrong, that was one of the common questions we get asked. How do you afford it? How do you, with the cost of everything, how do you afford the phones and the devices that they want these days? And I was like, well, you just said it. It's the things that they want, but they don't need it, and they're not buying it or paying for it, so they're not getting it. So you know, it was just for us, it was pretty simple, and part of, I guess, the way we've been raised as well is work for it, save for it if that's what you want, and then you go buy your own bloody phone or whatever it is that you want to get, or your own computer. Yeah, I think there's just been this, which I find interesting, an ongoing expectation or a thought that your parents are just the bank and that you just buy them whatever they want when they want. But I don't think that that's the case at all, and it's all right to just say nah. In terms of computers and things like that, these days probably a bit different. We've observed that and seen in the schools as our kids have been going, especially in high school back here, the need to have a computer and a device for schoolwork. But again, like a couple of our kids, before they got to the stage where they were working and then buying their own, they used the school computer. It's like, too bad. Like, we're not buying you one. I'm thinking, you want one? Get a job, save up, get you one. Otherwise, you're just going to have to make do. You're just going to have to tell your teachers that you don't have a laptop that you can bring to school and do your work on. And we'll have to figure something else out. You're going to have to get pieces of paper or assignments like what we used to get, bring it home, and then do it on the computers at home. So we did have desktops, or we still have. That's what I'm looking at on the big screen. We had desktops at homes for the kids to be able to use. But we weren't buying no blanket laptops for all 6 of the kids to go, and buying no 6 mobile phones for them. And that started a whole another conversation with friends of ours. Well, what about their safety and, you know, all that sort of stuff? What about if you need to pick them up, an emergency or whatever? I was like, well, we didn't have it during our time. So, you know, if it seems to be that everybody's got a device these days, or then hopefully in an emergency, there's people that are close by that they can speak to, that they can go, hey, can you call the police, or can I use your phone? I need to make this call or whatever. And hopefully somebody will help. But, you know, for as many questions, comments from people around how do you do it and not do it, etc., there's equally, I think, answers in response to those ones that have come about over time, over the years. So where was I? My point exactly. You don't have to do guard duties and gun pickets in Civvy Street. Well, they don't have to do that now, I think, either, Buck. Appreciate you stopping by. I don't think they're doing that these days either. They've got civvies doing all of that sort of stuff, unless the units or the camps are just sending people to do that stuff as a punishment or part of the charge or whatever that they may be on. But from what I understand, there's no, what's the name? Camp picket. But if you're talking gun picket, probably maybe you're talking out in the field, sentry and all that sort of stuff. But camp picket and all that sort of stuff, from what I understand, doesn't happen anymore. Bro, they didn't exist for us. That's why we all hung out at the rich Cuzzy's house. Yeah. Both boys are late teens, early 20s, can't read their handwriting, weren't required to learn or practice. The power just went out. Now what, dickhead? Cracker, what's this? The power just went out. Now what, dickhead? Question mark. The boys are late teens, early 20s. Hey, the boys are late teens, early 20s, can't read their handwriting, weren't required to learn or practice. Wow, far out. What's this? Cherry Joe, what was your childhood like? Awesome. That's what I would say. It was awesome. Cherry, thanks for asking. My Soap 23, what is tonight's topic, Joe? Bro, topics. I don't know if you saw at the start, played a bit of a video. Shout out to Nims, did the Waimanuka thing at the start. Again, get that in there again. Waimanuka people here in Aotearoa, if you haven't had it, get you some. New Zealand's premium sparkling, non-alcohol, I was going to say non-sparkling premium alcoholic beverage. It's bloody all over the shop. Premium, sparkling, non-alcoholic beverage. Just tuned in a minute ago. All good, bro, all good. Yeah, it's just flowing. Well, I'm just flowing at the moment, bouncing off, trying to stay up to date with comments and stuff in here in the chat and reading what I've got in terms of some of the stuff that's been sent through. Spoke about NIMS, spoke about Waimanuka, useless immigration, a kind comment from a supporter, and then thoughts for tonight's live. Biggest differences between military civilian life, lessons civilians should learn from the military, and what do you think about compulsory military training? Touched on each of those, again, pretty detailed sort of topics, those ones, and I think they're good. But you've got some other stuff in there on here. There is oh yeah, and then I've had this request, so we'll move past those military ones that have just come up, the biggest differences. Shout out Buckaroonie in terms of the don't have to do guard duties and gun pickets in Civvy Street. And Cherry, sorry, not trying to be dismissive of your comment. What was my childhood like? I would assume you want something more than it was awesome. Seeing as you've taken the time and stopped by here, but it was, for me, it was awesome. Only child, so I'm the oldest, the youngest, the middle forgotten child. Most importantly, you know, I'm the favorite. Plenty of cousins, plenty of friends, and just real simple. Playing with my friends out on the street. Never really got booted outside because I just naturally gravitated to going and playing outside, and really only came indoors when it was time to eat, or, you know, time to get cleaned up, or my mum yelled out because it was dark outside. So yeah, good upbringing, typical sort of chores, not wealthy, nothing like that, but not starving and not drastically poor, and not living out on the street either. So, you know, yeah, I just think it was awesome. Simple. It was a simple upbringing, simple life. It was the 80s in the NZ. It was awesome. Yeah, I mean, you know, I was 78, so I didn't really. Oh yeah. So living through the 80s, but still a lot of that fairly young. Wasn't until later on where I probably really appreciated that period of time, you know, more in terms of, you know, my birth year and stuff as such. 90s, I probably have a better recollection of. But yeah, all those times would have been good. Playing marbles, that was one of the main things. Riding my bike, going to the parks, and there'd just be a swing, or the metal bars, the jungle gym, and playing on that. Back in the days when you'd have like those old style washing line type things with the rope dangling off the end, and you just grabbed onto that, and then you swung around, and sometimes you went flying off. Back in the days when it's just concrete. So none of this nice soft cushion your fall type stuff in and around parks these days, but it was awesome. It was great. Robocure's 80s, it was awesome. Yep. The 80s, 90s were the best. That's from Man 78. Oh, snap, rubber. Yeah, joined by Daniel. Hey, good afternoon to you, to everyone in Australia, and good evening to you Kiwi chaps. Likewise to you, Dan, joined by Daniel. Buckaroonie. Crap, I feel old. I joined the army in 1982. Well, you are older than me, but look at the foundation you laid for people like us that came through, Buckaroonie. So shout out and respect to you, mate. Rubber Kiwi cartoons till 8. Off to sports, treat for lunch, then on the bike and be home by dark. Yeah, a lot of that stuff. Like we spoke about on Monday nights. Was it Monday Nights Live? Scavenging and finding coins that were dropped on the ground. Can't find any of that these days. Treat for lunch, cartoons, the good night thing that used to come on at the end of TV, and then you'd have that in the blinking round circle with all the different colors and stuff. Didn't know they had one that far back. Crack up, Robert Kiwi. Getting cheeky to Buckaroonie, it looks like. I joined the ARA as a 17-year-old in 1989. Oh, wow, man. 17. Was that so you were allowed to join? Was that the minimum? Minimum. Was that the lowest age that you could join, or could you join? Because I think in the UK they can join at or they could join with parents' permission at 15 or 16 or something. Rubber Kiwi, how are you guys not dead? Crack up. Cheeky. Hard case. Anyway, request on SASR and UKSF. So I received, I won't worry about sharing the screen. Somebody reached out to me on Instagram, sent me the screenshots. I posted them, I think, did I post them in the post, the updated post? I think I did. Oh, did I? I think I did on the YouTube post. Oh, maybe I can share that screen instead. Let's go and have a look. Let's see if I did. 2, 3. I did. Let's share that. I'll share that. Share. Oh, it doesn't matter. People. Oh no, let me share it. Let's go. Set it there. That's it there. So if you go to the post, you'll see that. Feel free to join tonight's live. And on the third one, you've got that stuff there. Irish Unity, the trainer of the British SAS is Australian. And then it had a laughing face. It's like, yeah, that made me laugh too. This guy, Trav Derogi, Trav D, to Colin White, most SAS combat instructors are Australian training the Brits now. Most SAS combat instructors are Australian training the Brits now. I don't know about that, bros. Anyway, this person sent me these messages saying, is this true or is this BS? My initial take as I read through it is that it's BS in terms of whoever this person is. I did say to the person that sent these through to me, who is probably engaging with these people, feel free to tell them they can join this live tonight if they like. Feel free to whack in their comments. Scott here, many British SAS soldiers have gone to Australia to train, and many have failed and would not to get into the Australian SASR, full stop. 9 out of 10 people fail to get into the Australian SASR. Not saying who's better than who, as we're the same unit, as we're the same regiment. Yeah, I don't know who Trav D is, but yeah, I don't know. it's kaka, looks like and sounds like kaka to me. So I would not be paying that too much attention. He does say down the bottom here to whoever this person is that he's speaking to as well, I worked with few ex-SAS servicemen and a family friend of mine is in the SASR. They all said the same thing. Well, I don't know what time frame or when this particular period has happened in the SASR, but I certainly didn't witness it during my time, and I've not known of any Australian SAS personnel being in the British training the British SAS. So I just replied saying, yeah, it looks and sounds like BS to me. There's likely exchanges and long looks and all that sort of stuff that does happen. And you know, guys go over, UK come to Australia, NZ, vice versa. They all mix around, US, etc. But as far as what I just read in those comments, yeah, I think anybody with a couple of brain cells to rub together would recognize and go, yeah, that's just not the case. Ex-UK or UK SF going to Australia and failing. What did it say? 9 out of 10 people fail to get in this. Sorry, that's not it. Yeah, he did say that. Many British SAS soldiers have gone to Australia to train. Yes, that's true. And then he's got here, and many have failed and would not get into the Australian SASR. I've not during my time anyway. So I've not heard of that post my time being there. So pinch of salt, peeps, in terms of the person that sent that through to me and asked for my take on it. I think apprentices could join at 16, joined by Daniel. Thanks for that. But general entry was 17 with parents' permission. Oh, okay. 17 with parents' permission. Buckaruni, I joined at 17. Apprentices could join at 15. Wow. I joined at 17 and a half. Just can't legally deploy until 18. Okay. As to not being dead, my wife keeps trying. I'm still around and not that old yet. Yeah, I don't think you're that old either. But you served in the dark ages. Honor and a privilege to meet you both. Cheers for putting up with all the BS from us. It's appreciated, men. Yeah, look at that. Good banter and stuff in there. Good to have the guys drawn by Daniel and Buckaruni stop by. Thank you very much. And anybody that's on here, Kiwis or whatever ethnicity alike, stop by here if you like, as long as you're not a twat, I think, which I did have that disclaimer in the post. Where are we? Yeah, so we've done that one. Oh, so some of the stuff on Ben Roberts-Smith still continues to pop up, and I got sent this recording. Can you hear the recording? I don't know if me sharing the screen really matters. It's just a recording because it's not a video. I'm going to play it, see if this audio comes through. Oh, maybe can I play it at what is it? 4 minutes 27. Oh yeah, I can let it play. It's got great soldier, top general on Ben Roberts-Smith and war crimes. So let's see how this goes. I'll just play this. Hopefully the audio comes through. Should do. Play. What the? Well, that's not the blinking clip, is it? Where's the That's the page that's showing Ben Fordham live, Robert Smith and More Crimes, 2GB. Oh, maybe if I go back to the original link of where it was sent, maybe that way will bring it up. Let's close that. That was rubbish. Where is he? Let's go to his message. There he is. Oh, speak of the devil, and he sent me a whole bunch of other links too, but I've got to try to get this great soldier. Much stuff, bro. No, not too much stuff, but you've sent me a heck of a lot of stuff. I'm trying to find that link that you sent for that video that I just... Is this it here? No, that's not it either. Bloody hell. Where is it? Great soldier. Bro, well, I'm looking at, and you're on the chat too right now. You've sent me so much stuff, bro. It's blinking. I don't think I'm going to find it. What if I hit play again and skip? No, that's doing nothing. Unless that's just an advert, is it? Oh, hang on. Hang on. Okay, maybe that was all just a lead up to this particular kōrero that they're having, or that what this guy's reading out. Let's go from here. Can people hear this? A former commander is speaking up about allegations. Sorry, let me just read this. Joe Soup. But he said in Dark Ages, joined by Daniel, I was involved with some Kiwis doing some pre-deployment training for East Timor 99. I think they were from 1 battalion. They were good, and I still think it was funny being called Corporal Bro. Oh no, bro is how we say full stop. Talk, bro, loved your talk 5018, bro, loved your kōrero about the time you went through selection. I cracked up laughing when you felt like you... oh yeah, when it felt like my backside felt like a valley because all the weight you lost. Yeah, memories, eh? No sound. Okay, maybe I'll share the thing and then share the screen, and then maybe that will show play the sound. Thanks for that heads up, Daniel. Let's go here. Great soldier. This is what I was talking about. So worrying about playing the sharing the screen, because I thought, oh, it's just audio anyway. Let's see. Does this audio come through?
Of war crimes. He says the top brass can't take all the...
Sorry.
Ben Fordham comments.
A former commander is speaking up about allegations of war crimes. He says the top brass can't take all the credit when things go right and then distance themselves when things go wrong. Retired Major General Roger Noble spent 26 years in the army. He served in Afghanistan, Iraq and East Timor. And at one point, he was responsible for authorising military strikes. He says, I was a strike authority in Iraq, so I gave lots of orders to shoot people. Roger Noble's not trying to be dramatic. He's just making the point that war is confronting. Soldiers are sent to places where the enemy wants them dead. They're forced to make life and death decisions in split seconds. And sometimes the picture is not clear. Who's an enemy fighter? Who's an innocent civilian? Roger Noble says in close combat, the transition of an enemy to a non-combatant is not a clear point in time. He's not saying the laws of war should be ignored, but he says when allegations are made, they must be investigated fairly and quickly. Roger Noble has shared his thoughts.
Fairly and quickly. To those cowards that Blinken did truck all years ago, should have spoken up back then. It doesn't, I know there's been a whole bunch of other war crimes and stuff from other regimes, let's call them, and they've had to backdate and backtrack and chase up and bring them in and prosecute, etc., etc. But it just made a lot of sense to me listening to this and what this guy was saying. So I'll try not to interrupt too much. Let's get back to playing it.
Thoughts in a new book called My Long War. On the Victoria Cross recipient Ben Robert Smith facing a war crimes trial, Roger Noble is quoted in The Australian saying, "It's more difficult because he's a VC winner. We know he's a very brave man, a great soldier." On justice being delayed, he says, "People can't go 20 years and then have someone say, now you're guilty or now you're not guilty." And this is what soldiers and their families have been living through. The Office of the Special Investigator and the Australian Federal Police have commenced 53 investigations into allegations of war crimes. 39 are no longer active, 10 are still ongoing, and 2 former soldiers have been charged. The AFP says it's trying to finish the remaining investigations ASAP. But for the people involved, this has already dragged on for years and years and years. We've told you about the SAS veteran known as Horse. He was told he was under investigation. Then he heard nothing for more than 5 years. So he followed it up himself. And then he was told, no, it's okay. You're no longer under investigation. We've also told you about Sean McCarthy.
It's crazy that, over $300 million spent, and there must be no admin people available to notify these soldiers when they are no longer under investigation, or they wait for years to go by. They're about to talk about Sean McCarthy. So let me just play that.
McCarthy. His parents, Mary and David, received a letter saying their son had been cleared of war crimes after an investigation. The only problem was Sean had been dead for 8 years. And now Roger Noble is raising the issue.
Crazy, 8 years have gone past. He's already dead. When did they decide? I'd love to know when they decided that he was no longer being investigated. Rest in peace to Sean McCarthy. But the fact that that sort of stuff's happening 5 years after the fact, Horse goes in to follow up. Go, hey, what's the story with this investigation where I'm being investigated for war crimes? And they go, oh, no, you're all good. You're all good, mate. You're not being investigated anymore. What a crock. Anyway, what do we got here? No lies detected, Rubber Q. That's pretty damn poor. Massively poor, Yep. What an insult to Sean's parents. 100%. Massive insult.
Issue many veterans have been talking about. What about those at the top? The Brereton report said responsibility did not extend to higher headquarters, but Roger Noble says that doesn't make sense. He says, I don't agree with the...
Thank you, Roger Noble. He's right. Like, it doesn't make sense. And I've shared that on a number of lives and Q&As and things like that have come through, and a whole bunch of other people like Andy White. Get his book, Outside the Wire. Those that, if you haven't already, I've got to get my copy of that. Ex-Australian SASR guy. I didn't serve with him, but he's also ex-UK military as well. But you can't be nominating yourselves for gongs and medals for outstanding bloody leadership and then throw your hands up in the air and then say, oh, no, we didn't know what was going on out on the ground, so we can't be investigated for that. I think a load of rubbish. What's this, Rubber Kiwi? It's because some absolute sacks filmed themselves doing atrocious crap over 2 decades ago, and now every soldier accused is assumed guilty. Facts and operational history be damned. Buckarino, I think Roger Noble was at the regiment when I was posted there. Name is familiar. Gotcha, Buck. Right. Okay. Roger Noble. Well, at least it sounds like he's speaking some sense. He's probably, I'll put him there with Dan Fortune, who also speaks a fair bit of sense as well.
With the premise that the chain of command breaks in the middle. He says commanders are part of the same system. They approve missions. They decide what soldiers are asked to do.
Yep.
And he says for the system to work, the top has to be connected to the bottom. Roger Noble isn't the first to make these observations, but considering his quarter of a century of experience, I think they're worth listening to.
It's just very pragmatic, practical, very, very common sense in terms of what he's talking about. The top and the bottom are connected. There is obviously empowerment for operators to do what they need to do on the ground, and there should be. Like, that's what needs to happen. That's what should be happening. But that doesn't mean that the communication chain and the passage of information breaks somehow. If something goes wrong on the ground, that passage of information continues through the appropriate hierarchy and structure that's there in place. Trooper, Lance Corporal or 2IC, Corporal or Sergeant, Troop Commander, Squadron SSM, OC, list goes on, RSM, CO. You can still maintain and connect the dots and get that information if there's something gone wrong. And if multiple people are witnessing things and it looks wrong, sounds wrong, feels wrong, then all that crap, if it was happening based on these allegations, should have been getting escalated sooner rather than later. And if that stuff was happening and was being escalated, then that's where you can't have a disconnect. In my opinion, you can't have a disconnect between the head shed saying we didn't know and we didn't have sufficient oversight of operations of what was taking place on the ground, so therefore we can't be investigated, and just shifting it all to the boots on the ground, the operators at the coalface. So anyway, let me finish this off.
In the middle of a gunfight, it's not always easy to pick the difference between a bystander and an enemy. And when the crap hits the fan, it's not fair to excuse the top brass while holding soldiers to the flame.
There you go. That's it. That was the end of that little snippet or video that I got sent through. I'll go stop share on here. Cool. All right, got those. And again, I just want to acknowledge TXM shooter. Sorry, where's that one gone? The Jules thing. Apologies if I don't know what that means. TX200 MK5 shooter sent UNC alert for 440 joules. And then there's this like alarm flashlight thing. Looks like emoji. No, it's not an emoji. But anyway, thank you for whatever that is. I'm going to take it as though it's something good. I think, Roger, no, I read that already. And I think we're up to date with all the comments and stuff on there. Let's carry on here. Weekly Connect with Shubs. So cheers, Dan, for mentioning, I think you mentioned in the chat here that you caught a glimpse of it. Question for people. This is from myself and Shubs. People before, other people in comments and chats and live streams and questions, and even on comments in some of the videos that I've done and messages in IG have sent through things like, oh bro, you should be the next Ross Kemp. I think one of the lives I'd forgotten who Ross Kemp was. I know who he is now, but I was like, oh, I've heard the name, but who's that fella again? And it wasn't until they said he goes around to those places that does like reporting and that sort of stuff. Well, anyway, Shubs let me know that because today's topic was on private security. And, you know, I did let him know. I said, oh, I've been a bit out of the game in the private security space for a long time now, but, you know, there's still some probably likely a lot of stuff that's probably still the same. And then there's probably a whole bunch of differences, which I probably wouldn't be aware of, but it shouldn't take, I don't imagine it would take too much time. Not that I'm looking to go back into private security. Anyway, as we were talking, one thing led to the next, and we're talking away, and Shub started asking the question about, oh man, imagine if he goes, what if we went to places in and around the world and getting a bit of an insight of what it's like actually on the ground. It's like, you mean on the front line and at the coalface? And he's like, yeah. He goes, oh, but I've never done anything like that. What are people's thoughts in and around that? He asked me if I would be keen. I said, oh, bro, that's like when I spoke earlier, responding to this kind comment that was put in here about feels like you don't think you can be as successful as you want to be with the podcast in terms of longer term vision, because it will take some time, not only time, but resources, finances, etc. That is something that does interest me. So I spoke with Shubs offline after and that as well. And I said, probably the main hindrance to that, or not hindrance, but the main obstacle from my perspective going out and doing that is probably two things. Is another resource, by resource I mean a person that's also interested and willing to travel to places like that, and two, funds or finances to be able to do that. Like, it's not cheap and it's not free. Like, there's visas and stuff involved, there's travel involved, there's, dare I say, fixers involved who need to get their cuts and trying to make things move a little bit more seamlessly or smoothly in certain areas and places. And in order to get to that sort of stage, that all takes time and building up and trying to establish whatever it is that people are looking to build. For me, in my little space here, I'd love, like I'm working on and going to continue to work on trying to get the channel to grow. I mean, I've committed to doing it full time, and that's where I'm at. I also came into it with a long-term plan, at least 10 years, and a very low expectation of, or not really having any high expectation of subscribers or where I'm at now. Basically, that just wasn't in the planning or in the scope. The fact that I'm where I'm at now is awesome. Like, I'm stoked about it. So anyway, bit of ramble there, but it sounds like Shubs is keen to travel and do that stuff. So I said, yeah, bro, like I'm in. Like, if that stuff, if there was a way for us to be able to do that, I'd be, and there was some, like Ceuta as an example. It's like, yeah, bro, I'm blinking, I'm there. Well, not there for a holiday, there to go and speak with the people, the locals. If you can, speak with the people that have blinking invaded, try and suss out how did this come about? You were coordinated, you're on a truck. Like, what was there? Did you just have your own secret blinking message signal chat or something sent out, or trying to hear and find out whether or not it'd be the truth, whether or not there's language barriers, I don't know. But there's all that sort of stuff. Might need an interpreter. That's not going to be free. So there's plenty of things involved: planning, safety, resources, etc., etc. Speaking with Shubs, so he sounds super keen and interested to want to do something like that. So he sent me through a message. I'll send him through some information and stuff later, and then he can do with it what he wants. If he manages to work something into existence in that space, and he needs and or wants my help and support to go on that, I would 100% go. So I don't know what people's thoughts are. That's what I was going to ask, or supposed to ask. What's this? That's because no, I read that. Joe, what are your thoughts? Roger, no, oh, sorry, did that. That's Buckaroo, Roger Noble, familiar. Cherry Joe, what are your thoughts in the part the NZSA has played in specifically the Vietnam War? I'm sure, question mark. What are my thoughts? I think it's part of the legacy that they have. What do you mean? What are my thoughts in the part NZSA has played? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you mean in terms of like just overall. If you mean overall, I think it's great that they were there, that they supported, they answered the call, they did what they were asked to do, they trained and prepared for that as well as they could, and they've gone on to cement and solidify a really strong reputation, well warranted in my opinion, for what their capabilities are, what they're able to do, and what they've done, and what they'll continue to do going forward. So yeah, sorry, Jerry, your question seems a little bit vague to me, but I've done my best to try to give an answer based on what you've got there. Rubber Kiwi, he's sending you money. I think, bro, you can buy points and use them to send different icons. Check your bank, you might be a He's sending you money? What's that for? What do you mean? He's sending you money. I think, bro, you can buy points and use them. Oh, do you mean the TX shooter? Is that what you mean? TX 205 shooter? Sending you money? Okay, well, I'll have a look after. I've never heard of it. I don't know what that is, but yeah, a millionaire. Wouldn't that be nice? Motivate _minute 7. Hello, Joe. Do you have any insights in playing sports in the army? I play hockey. Yeah, I do. What do you mean when you say insights? Do I have any insights in playing? I think it's great. I played basketball in the army, predominantly, some volleyball. I trialed for the New Zealand Army basketball team. I made the team, actually, like one of my achievements that I was stoked to make. But it also, that year when I made the team in '98, when they had the trials were in Linton, I think at that time too. Selection was on that year for me at the end of that year. So I'd made the team, got spoken to by the head coach that was there. Forget his name, actually. I can picture his face, but I forget his name. That's no good. And yeah, was basically informed, like with the others, that was lucky enough to make it to the team. Oh, stoked. I was like, oh, that's awesome. But the time of when the competition and stuff was going to be was also when I probably should have spoke about this in the lead up to selection, now that I think about it, because it was part of the lead up to my selection in NZ. He spoke with me, and at the time when the competition was going to happen, it was around about the time when selection was going to be on for the SAS. And then I just straight away, it didn't really bother me. I didn't really have any hesitation. I just said, "Oh, sorry, I won't be able to go with the team. I won't be able to stay with the team." He did say why, and I said, "Oh, because I'll be on selection." And bless him, he did say to me, he goes, "Well, selection will still be there next year." so that made me feel even better, because I thought, "Oh, wow, yeah, I must have done okay in the trial." But yeah, I was like, "Yeah, I'm not delaying going on selection." That's the only reason I joined, and the fact that I had now trained so long, so hard, put in my application, it had been approved, and I had a date for when I was going. I wasn't not going on selection. I wasn't going to defer it and go, "Oh, I'll do it next year at the beginning. I'll do the earlier selection next year." It's like, yeah, no. So yeah, forgot all about that. So, but as far as actually playing for the Army, I didn't do that. The rest of it was just, like Lone Pine sports. But hello, Joe, do you have any insights on playing sports in the Army? I think it's a great thing. So do it. If you're playing hockey, crack on and go well and do it. I think it's awesome. NZ for Life. Never followed Ross Kemp, but have you heard of Ollie Ollerton? Yep, from Who Dares Wins, does great motivation and mind stuff. Okay, I don't follow Ollie Ollerton, but I know who he is for sure, because I've seen some of his bits and pieces on social media and some clips and stuff of interviews that he's done. Jason, get to the hype setting in the systems settings. Chat can then help promote the channel. Okay. Thanks, Jason. You've said that before, but not this part, but you've said get the hype button. Get to the hype setting in the system settings. Okay, yeah, and clearly I haven't done any searching on the hype button, so I should do that. So I'll have a look at that, Jason. See, thank you for that. Hype settings. Actually, I better write it down, because otherwise I'm just going to sit here and say it, and then next week live I'll be saying the same thing. Oh, hype setting. I should look into that. Hype setting. What did you say? System settings. Jason C. Cheers, Jace. Help promote the channel. Okay, that can help promote the channel. If that means paid like stuff, is that like a paid boost? I got to pay money to promote my channel. If that's the case, nah, I'm not doing that. I've been of the mindset, if I have to pay to try to get boosts or whatever, then I haven't done it. Unless if it only costs 5 cents, then I'd probably do it. But otherwise, hopefully it's a free one then. Anyway, Jason, joined by Daniel. I hope your goals come to fruition, Joe, and I hope the same for everyone else here chatting and watching as well, whatever they may be. That's awesome, Dan. Yeah, and I 100% align with your comment. Whatever our goals are, or people's goals, and whatever it is that you're doing, chasing, planning on, they can crack on, get after it, man. I hope you all do well. Rubber Kiwi, yeah. Pleasant strolls. Is there any scenario you can see where New Zealand or surroundings could be a conflict zone in a world war? Is there any scenario you can see where New Zealand or surroundings could be a conflict zone in a world war? Well, I think we're pretty. It may feel like, and we probably do take for granted, or maybe not take. Maybe take for granted. Maybe might not be the right word. I think there's a lot of thoughts in and around us here, and we are being quite isolated from the rest of the world, but we're not really that isolated in terms of distance wise, and the way other countries, nations much bigger, much more powerful than ours can travel and get to and mobilize to if they want to, right? So could we be, in terms of sorry, where's the question? Is there any scenario where New Zealand or surroundings could be a conflict zone in a world war? You've got the islands and stuff in and around as well. Australia, New Zealand, as great as Australia is, as great as New Zealand is, we're not global superpowers in terms of military forces and might and all that sort of stuff. And I know that there is some, well, based on what I've heard, I don't know for sure, but there is some concern in Australia over, the recent Strait of Hormuz stuff, and Israel and Iran and US, and the lack of support that NATO provided and what Trump has come out and said. So there is concerns from an Australian perspective that, we may not be able to just lean on the big bro US and go, come and save us if something happens. So there could potentially be, there's a few other superpowers in the world that if they want to start something, they likely can, could, and would if they feel that there's an advantage to them seizing control or looking to seize control of a place like ours here in NZ or Australia. But again, I would say that stuff's well above my pay grade. and people there, when we're talking about is there scenario, you can see where New Zealand or surroundings could be a conflict zone. There could definitely be conflict zones in and around. History has done that, proven that time and time again with PNG, etc., and other islands in the area. New Zealand and Australia could easily be caught up in all that sort of stuff if something was to happen. That's my take anyway. As far as specifics, need people with much bigger brains and smart, or doesn't even need to be much bigger brains than mine, just smarter people than me. Motivate_minute. In regards to sport, I mean, how does it work? How do you play for the teams? Like, is it for your base? Then for then for the Defence Force. So yeah, usually not necessarily for your base, because your base might not necessarily have a team. They could do these days. As an example, if I think back, there was Linton had a rugby league team which played in a local competition with other non-military teams. So there may be a hockey team like that, but it was usually just more internal stuff. And then the Army being the Army, Navy being the Navy, or Defence Force in general, Air Force, they'll have their teams to represent their organisation as part of the Defence Force. So hopefully that helps. Otherwise, most guys and girls would just go find sports teams in their local area and go play. So in your case, hockey, you might just go play for a local hockey team, but you're a serving Defence Force member. You could apply to if your team is going really well, depending on what grade or division you're playing in, and you're going up through the competition and getting to semis or quarters, semis, and blinking finals. You potentially could get leave for that. Actually, that brings back a memory. A lot of the rugby players, when I was in battalion, a lot of the good rugby players anyway, and then even then, I think maybe even some that might not even been that good, they would get a lot of time to not have to go out in the field. So if there was rugby trainings or competitions and stuff going on, that was surprising to me. It was interesting. I mean, I didn't really care, because part of my developments and reason being in there and choosing infantry was specifically to go bush and learn the skills. So these were some of the, I guess, senior soldiers that were there, but it didn't take long for some of the more junior soldiers to cotton on to that. It's like, oh, what? You can get out of going out in the field if you play rugby? But I think they might have lost sight of, you got to be good at playing rugby, though. Anybody can play rugby. I can play rugby, but I'm not very good at it. So there's levels and differences to it. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Getting to play for the Defence Force, you would just, go through your hierarchy or your leaders, suss out and find out when trials and that may be getting held, and then try to request leave or whatever where you can through your leaders, and they would typically be supportive of it if it's something that you're wanting to do, unless there's some sort of critical work that might be happening at that same time when those trials or something may be going on. So that might potentially get knocked back, but you just go through that process and then whack it in, and then hopefully do well enough on the trial and get after it. Hopefully that helps answer that. Motivate minute. Sorry, I thought you were in the military and playing hockey. My bad. Only once pleasant strolls. You've only seen us on the other team's turf. Different ball game if they show up on ours. Talk, Fuzzer. Thoughts on the 2.2% pay rise, bro? Well, it's better than a poke in the eye, I suppose. Bloody hell. Jason C, thumbs up. No boost algorithm. Okay, no boost algorithm. Cool. Thanks for that, Jason Buckarine. Hey, Joe, I just emailed you the links to the Ghosts of Timor. Oh, yeah, that's right. I did actually find that on YouTube, but thank you. I'll probably use your links, and I just hit the save button to my watch later list. But if you've emailed them through, thank you for that. Ghosts of Timor about SASR, war crimes. East Timor 99, more bloody war crimes. Actually, I think maybe I've heard. I think I have actually heard. I may have an idea of what that might be about. in terms of when you're talking about Timor and potential war crimes. But I haven't seen. I didn't know that there was a documentary out. Or maybe that's where. How else would I have heard of it? Well, I don't recall sitting down watching a documentary called Ghosts of Timor about SASR war crimes. I can't recall sitting down watching that anyway. But thank you for sending that. I reckon you'll find it very interesting. No doubt I will. I know some of the names that I'm not going to mention on here, but I know some of the names that were being discussed, let's say, in regards to some of the stuff in Timor from SASR. So I wonder if they say the names in that documentary or whatever. 3 nuts. Where is your rack of medals, Joe? Or have your kids demanded them back? Here they are. Here's the rack of the kids. Some of the kids' medals. I haven't gone and done another rack of these because the rest of them is too many of them. They're just in the drawer. Yeah. So no, still got them here. Just haven't whacked it on. Crack up. Buckaroony, be good to see NZ get some Mogami frigates along with Australia. We need to work together and have the same gear. I think so too. There's so much, the Trans-Tasman exchanges, exercises, joint exercises and training and that sort of stuff that happens even to this day. Like it's, it'd be nice to think. I understand the desire to want to keep things separate. But I don't know what the answers are apart from the relevant parties coming to the table and hashing that out, having some conversations, getting those big brains at the table, the Dan Fortunes of the world, maybe this Noble guys here from Mataparai here from NZ and other people, and them sitting around and trying to nut something out, and then hopefully involving and speaking with the soldiers themselves as well. And because if you're gonna, if something like that was to happen, you want to have them on board with that, not just having stuff done to them. But we'll see. Buckaroony, if something kicks off, I'm coming to your house. Dan Greco, Jace, got to worry when the US pull out of Pine Gap. Yeah, imagine that, That'd be interesting. Imagine if I don't know if they will. What do you reckon, Jace? You reckon, is there talk of that? Is there? I haven't heard any talk of that. I can't see the US looking to pull out of there. That's a pretty significant foothold in Australia, and what they have got there, and what they do there allegedly. But it'd be interesting. Yeah, you're right. That would be, I'd say that would be cause for some concerns and worry if they decide to leave. Hit the like, guys. Drawn by Daniel. I'm 50. Thanks, Dan. I'm 54. 5'4". Sorry, not I'm 54. I'm 5'4". I hated getting smashed. I survived just fine though when playing whatever flavor of rugby we had to play. On the other hand, I really liked volleyball. Yeah, volleyball is a great sport, and yeah, like this, it's amazing. You have a look at some people that can be some of the smallest people. It's like in the unit, some of the smallest people who seem to just have the biggest heart, carrying their body weight and then some, and getting through, and then seeing some other blinking big weapon-looking Adonis and struggles and or quits. Pretty hard case. W Rack. What area were the masters of bringing blokes back from bush for rugby games? 1 RAR, in Townsville. 1 and 2 RAR. And I heard it's 3 RAR in Townsville now as well. So they got 1, 2, and 3 in RAR in Townsville. From what I've heard, I might be wrong, but Robert Kiwi, what's wrong with the org in your opinion, Joe? AUG. I don't know what you mean. AUG, August? Org. Or you mean organization? Sorry, Rubber Kiwi, what's wrong with the AUG in your opinion? Yanks need Pine Gap. I would have thought so too. No, just that I think they back us. Oh, Jason, okay, cool. Yeah, I would be surprised if something kicked off and the US didn't come to support Australia and or New Zealand in our area. But I don't know. I would be surprised though if the US said, yeah, no, we're not backing those guys, even given the stuff that's happened in the Straits. Like, what did they want New Zealand and Australia to send Navy wires to the Strait of Hormuz? Blinking ribs, Zodiacs, or blinking clippers, and have the lads paddle out there. Pleasant strolls. I've heard New Zealand Army used to train / war game for a hypothetical conflict with Indonesia. Now I hear NZ Army train / war game for an international fight against an imaginary local far-right future militia. True? I don't know. Pleasant strolls. Like, that's not stuff. If they are, it's not stuff that I'm involved in. What I do know is just based on what I've seen on socials and what you hear in the news with New Zealand Defence Force doing training in the Philippines, New Zealand Defence Force doing training with Australia, training with in Korea. So yeah, various parts with the island nations and stuff in and around the place as well. So yeah, like there's a whole bunch of training that continues to happen, and I would not be surprised as far as wargaming goes and scenarios. That stuff's been around for the longest period of time. Even prior to my time serving in the New Zealand and or the Australian Army, wargaming and scenarios and looking at potential situations that could happen, they'll continue to take place as well. And people putting plans in place to try to address and or respond to those if something like that was to happen. Rubber Kiwi, did someone lift you up to the net, Daniel? He may have been the, what's the term for the person, libero or something like that? The setter might have just been, not just been, but might have been the setter. But mind you, I know some short people, 5 foot in the 5 foot range that could get up, had a mean vertical leap on them, and a lot of the technique involved in spiking a ball, regardless of your height. It helps being taller and if you're able to jump, obviously. But there's some technique in that involved in there too. So some skillful short players who can bang that ball down, and I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of it when it comes rocketing in. Doesn't see US probably got more troops in Oz than we. Bro, I would not be surprised if that was the case. But Mr. Buccarini, yes, 3 battalions in Townsville. Wow, they are there. F88 from drawn by Daniel. Oh, okay, the Steyr org. So what was your question? What's wrong with it? I think in terms of, I'm not an armor, but I've found even just having the M16 when I had the M16 on pretty much for the large majority of cycle in NZ, and then having an M16 with 203 with 4 RAR, like that was just seemed to be a much more heartier weapon, like through the water, through some mud and dirt and stuff, and that weapon would still function. Obviously, you still try to look after it. I'm not trying to deliberately drag it through stuff, but similar sort of environments and similar sort of, trying to look after the Steyr during my time, that thing seemed to jam up a heck of a lot. At the same time, to be fair and to try to put that into perspective, I put a heck of a lot more rounds through an M16, M4 than I have through a Steyr, just because time and battalion, like that's what you had. And it was the guys at that time in the NZSAs that had M4s that were running M16s or M4s, and they were doing a heck of a lot more shooting. So on cycle, I think just in the New Zealand cycle alone, I would have done way more shooting than I ever did with my time from basic training, core training, my time in battalion, my 16, 18 months in battalion, including I would have done more shooting than my time in the Australian Defence Force with 4 RAR. And that's including the pre-deployment build-up training before going into Timor. So, yeah, to try to put that into perspective, we had Steyrs until even at 4 RAR, but when I got to Recce Platoon, then I had an option, so I chose the M16 with the 203, just because of my experience running that weapon on cycle in NZ, and it seemed to have less issues due to, let's say, the weather or the dirt and stuff and water stuff getting into the weapons, just based on the training and stuff that we were doing. There's probably a whole bunch of other technical things with it. I mean, the plastic components and then the trigger mechanism and the butt group of the weapon, those things always just seemed a bit weird to me. from the weapon itself, the manufacturing or the design of the weapon itself. Again, I'm no blinking armorer, but it just, and then having to use graphite powder for parts, and then oil for other parts of it, and then the gas plug, that little thing which could just easily pop off. So there's probably lots of things. I'd love to know from an actual armorer if they have what their thoughts are in comparison to the weapon itself. To be fair, I probably preferred the LSW C9 or the Paraminimi, which is basically the C9 anyway. But I probably preferred those weapons to the Steyr as well. Oh, bloody hell, I'm falling behind here. I think he means the F88 Steyr. Yep, Roger, joined by Daniel. Cheers, bro. Incidentally, I preferred the M16 M4 for ergonomics and stoppage drills. Yep. So I'm with you, joined by Daniel. Like the M4, M16, like was a great weapon. At the same time, AK-47 is a great weapon too. But I haven't put as many rounds through the AK-47 as I have, through the M4. So, joined by Daniel, I can stand on tipitos. Pleasant Shoals. I've heard NZ Army does exercise about fighting, and what the heck? Far right, since I've heard 3 years. I've heard they've been doing training exercises on this for last 3 years. Okay, Pleasant Strolls. I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's longer, to be fair. Buckaroo, big advantage of the M4 is you can use both hands. Steyr had either a right or a left-handed bolt. That's true as well. You didn't want to be firing that if you are a righty and the ejection side is on the left side and it is smacking you right in the face. Yep, so yeah, good points. John Connor, have you ever played DayZ? No, I haven't. Is that a video game? John Connor? Are you the John Connor from Terminator? Rubber Kiwi, they train for urban combat against the civilian militia because that's what we did for 20 years. Reading any further into politics is some fairy-bred horse crap some hippie came up with. Drawn by Daniel, my best man at my wedding was in 4RAR. Oh, wow. And did Optanager, and he carried the M16 203 on that as a lance jack. What's his name, bro? Are you allowed to say his name? Are you your mate's name? John 4RAR, eh? Talk. Bro, did people respect you when you arrived to ADF after finding out you completed NZSA selection and cycle? I don't know, to be honest. Maybe. I think when I went over to ADF, guys just seemed chill. They just seemed normal to me, just like anybody else back in NZ. So there wasn't, I didn't find myself confronted with any sort of retards, which was nice. Actually, I suppose if I think about it, they're like Nick Caldwell and the guys, like I've mentioned in other videos, he was probably one of the first guys that I met there. There was another guy, a Kiwi guy, that I met there first, and then he introduced me to a whole bunch of other guys. But Nick was the one that came up to me at the mess in Holsworthy in Sydney, introduced himself again because I'd just met him. I was standing on the ground with the other Kiwi guy and saying hello to all these fellas up in the barracks that Ray was pointing out. Oh, and that's Nick, and that's so-and-so, and that's so-and-so. It's like, hey, lads, yep. Anyway, they were sitting at their table. I was by myself at the table that I was at in the mess, which didn't bother me. And Nick came over, so maybe because he did introduce me to to the guys, I guess word did spread around there, and maybe that's why he came up. But I think Nick would have come up to me anyway. He's just that sort of person. And going to Recce Platoon, I was pretty much embedded straight away with senior soldiers, guys with much, pretty mature, level-headed guys, and very skilled and capable guys too, So they had done a selection to get to where they were as far as 4RAR Commando was concerned. I hadn't done their selection. I had done a New Zealand selection, but I hadn't done their selection. So who's to say? But they treated me really well. I don't think there was anything extra to it in terms of your question about respect and that sort of stuff. I think they would have treated anybody, regardless of who they were, whether they had passed the selection or not. That's my take of the guys there anyway, the guys that I met. Excuse me. Best man, bro. Drawn by Daniel. Also on weapons, they're all just tools that are best not stood in front of. John Connor. Yeah. So John Connor, yeah, if you're saying, yeah, that's a game, nah. I haven't played any video games in I don't know how long, man. Probably since I was in, I want to say, early high school, third form, fourth form. Actually, no, that's not true. It's not true. I played, my cousin, one of my older cousins brought me a PlayStation while I was in the army, while I was in battalion. Bloody hell. Yeah, while I was in 1st Battalion, he brought me a PlayStation. And the last game that I remember playing was a game called Time Crisis. And you had a pistol. So I liked that game when I found out about it. And that was the only game that I remember playing on PlayStation. And because you'd shoot at your TV screen, you plug it all in, the characters come up on thing, and then you'd be shooting there. So I used it as an opportunity to practice my pistol marksmanship. Not that it had any real transfer to a real pistol, as I discovered, because I was bloody rubbish at the start. But yeah, Time Crisis was probably the last game that I played. So I did play video game on a PlayStation way back when. But yeah, nothing really since then. Shane Walker, drawn by Daniel. Shane Walker. Nah, can't picture anybody named Shane Walker. But shout out to him. Thanks for sharing the name. I can't picture a Shane Walker. Not off the top of my head. Pleasant Strolls at Rubber. Yeah, I heard it's especially against far-right militia, like they have the opposition dress up like that. It's a whole production. I heard it from someone with YouTube channel, can't remember who. Oh, okay, interesting. Well, America's been doing a lot of that sort of stuff for a long period of time. I forget the name of the blinking exercise that they run with the Green Berets, and they've got whole blinking like townships and cities to simulate the sort of stuff and that the Green Berets might be asked to do or expected to do. Not that we have that here in NZ, but anyway, I just thought I'd mention it. Did you go to Wattle Grove shops? Yeah, I did. I did go to Wattle Grove shops. Didn't spend a lot of time in the Grove, but went to Wattle Grove shops a fair few times just to go get some shopping and things like that. But most of the time I was in barracks. And then when my wife did come over, we were in a place called Blacktown. So she was staying with her sister there in a place called Blacktown. But yeah, Wattle Grove shops, holy heck. Pleasant Strolls specifically. Cherry, if called upon, Joe, would you put your foot forward to fight in the scenario of a world war? Yeah, I've shared that before. Like if they were desperate and they were after old guys to to respond to the call, to sign back up or whatever it is, to take up arms to defend this country, and or for me, New Zealand, Australia, or part of the coalition that has been for the longest time, I would. But yeah, do I see that happening? Probably not in my lifetime. Kiwi, how does far-right militia dress? The whole point is to blend in with civilians. Are we all far-right militia? Depending on who you ask, eh? Talk, bro, Time Crisis was gangster. Yeah, I loved it. Like, if I had it to this day, surely there's probably somebody out there with that game, eh? Like, I used to enjoy clocking that game. Can't remember all the levels, but I remember going through and, get to the end. I had a good mate of mine, Sean, from Battalion. That fella used to crack me up. He'd come into my room because I'd like to sit on my single bed in my room, TV at the far end, but I had a bigger TV. I can't remember. Can't remember how big it was. Maybe 29-inch TV, which was a big TV for me back then anyway, in my little barrack room. And I'd have it at the end as far as I could be sitting back on my bed and be, up and shooting and doing all the reloading stuff and that with it. And he would come in, get it, and just go put the blinking thing right on the screen, like ting, 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 ting. Yeah, he used to crack me up. That's how he used to go through and clock the game and just kind of like, bro, that's not. He's like, yeah, what's the difference? What's the point? It's like, yeah, nah, that fella, crack up. Rubber Kiwi, Paperboy was better with the actual BMX. Paperboy was better with that. Yeah, 100%. Yep, delivering Lincoln papers or pamphlets. There was and then trying to do those routes as quick as you could, trying to set personal records for your delivery route. Crack up, John Connor, LOL. Wattle Grove, joined by Daniel. His section commander was Michael Lobb. Oh, Michael Lobb. Must have been one of the rifle companies, eh? Your mate Shane Walker and Michael Lobb. Michael Lobb. I don't recognize that name either. But maybe, I'm assuming, joined by Daniel, I could be wrong, but I'm assuming it's one of the rifle companies at 4RR at the time. Those two names don't sound familiar to me from the recce platoon space anyway, unless they might have gone there after. John Connor, I just happened to live there near, and I heard you say Holsworthy. Oh, yeah. Yep. Good old Holsworthy Barracks, and then the Lebanon and Liverpool, as people would refer to it as. Traveling in and around that space. But yeah, Holsworthy, the Wattle Grove shops from time to time. Buckaroo, I'm that old. I'd pull a hammy just signing the dotted line. if I joined back up, crack up. John Connor, Daisy originally got made by a New Zealand guy. Oh, after being inspired by military training, he did. Oh, right, interesting. He tried to sell it initially to the government as a simulator. So I was just wondering how you rate its realism. Oh, right. Yeah, I haven't seen it. Maybe I'll have a look. Let me just Daisy. I'd never heard of it till you've said John Connor. So John Connor. Yeah, never heard of Daisy game. Interesting. Tried to sell it to the government. Crack up, Pleasant Strolls at Rubber. Good on him. Hopefully he's done well out of it if that game is still going. Pleasant Strolls at Rubber. Yeah, I think it might be training they have always done, but now they dress them as far right because it's PC. Don't know, so Citizens or Destiny Church. No idea, really. Dressed up like Lincoln, Brian Tamaki. Sovereign Citizens. Yep, they were in a rifle company. Okay, Lobby did Falconer as a commando. Ah, right. Op Falconer, if he was here as a commando, he would have known one of my mates I won't mention his name, because then after, the 4RR lads that were there in Iraq with us at the time, a number of them, when they got back, went on selection for SASR because they didn't, they were there as QRF for us if we needed to call them up. But I don't recall any of the troops from our squadron calling up QRF at any time. And I think, a number of those lads were like, bugger this, I don't want to be sitting back and QRF twiddling our thumbs while the lads are out on the ground. So a number of them came back, and the 4RR always seemed to do quite well anyway with guys going through selection. While Shane had transferred to INT when I was in, when you were in INT. Yep, okay, gotcha. Talk, if we do go to war and they need people, I'd love to be arty. I think you must be the P didn't go on. I play a game that's 50 versus 50 online called Hell Let Loose. And arty. And if arty is on point, it wrecks the ground troops morale big time. Last I heard, Lobby was an 8th Brigade RSM. Wow. Well, that fella's had an amazing career then, and continuing by the sounds of things, which is awesome. Awesome. Rubber Kiwi. It's a shout out to Lobby and his the amazing career that he's had and or still having. We've got here last year heard Lobby was an 8th Brigade RSM. Rubber Kiwi, I think your source might have an angle with that story, bro. They got better things to do than worry about the dickhead of the week. They train for all corners, for all comers. Crack up. Hard case. Anyway, I'm going to move this one up here. I needed to try to stay with the chat. I'm going to go to some of the comments. What's the time? Oh, hour 39. Well, we know that I've already broken my record for my live streams with Monday night's one going for over 5 hours. in fact, man, I'll be honest, the amount of stuff that comes through, just like even some of the initial questions at the start of this live, or comments that got sent through in IG, actually, that could have just been its own, those 3 points could have been their own talking point in and of themselves. And I was like, oh, bloody hell. Or could probably almost run a live every day. Not that I'm looking to do that. Monday and Wednesday is, I'm fine with that for now. Where are we? Read out some of these comments on here, on some of the comments on the immigration stuff that I haven't responded to yet either. Sorry. And while I do that, there's some comments on here. Cherry, which country you reckon is most likely to be aggressive in starting a world war against the West? Excuse me. Which country you reckon? Don't know. Oh, why am I looking over there? That's because that's where the comments are. Don't know. I'd purely just, your guess is as good as mine, is what I would say. Yeah. Connect. Take your pick, with some of the different alliances that happen when you look at the landscape of the world and you have a bit of a, based on the bits and pieces that you see, the alliances and with the US and Canada, or the Five Eyes as an example. Then you've got, thinking, Russia and China and North Korea, and then, dare I say, Middle Eastern, let's say Middle Eastern or African countries, Middle Eastern and African countries, in terms of just how things or people's opinions and positions or thoughts on perspectives of the West and that sort of stuff. Who knows? Israel in the mix with all this sort of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, man. Where are we? Sorry. Oh, I've got the comments here on the screen, but I can see comments popping up on here. Which would trigger the alliance New Zealand holds with the West? Which would trigger? I assume that's part of your first question that you had. Again, your guess is as good as mine. I would say there'd be some robust talks that would be taking place and happening, but also I think there'd be some, dare I say, skepticism, reluctance, hesitation, just based on, even stuff that I've discovered and been looking at on YouTube, and some of the reactions that I've done, like the 9/11 series that Tucker Carlson, I think is his name, or Tucker Carlson has done. Yeah, whatever people think of him or don't think of him, I don't really care. I was just looking at the content of what it is that he's done. He's not somebody that I specifically follow, and I don't have a positive or negative opinion of the guy either way. I've done some reactions to the stuff that he was talking about on 9/11 and things that I assume he's researched and found out and then presented. And I just thought, man, it just brought back some memories. It made me think about how things were pitched and presented. So to your question, why I say I think there'd be some questions, maybe hesitance, reluctance, apprehension, skepticism, because of what has been happening in the past and the reasons and rationales for going to war. But it's interesting that I say that, and at the same time, to your earlier question, Cherry, when you asked if I would sign back up again, I think without hesitation, I said, yeah, I would, because that is honestly how I feel. That is something that I would do if that need was there, though. But like I said, I'd honestly, probably another reason why I said that so quickly is probably because I don't realistically think that will happen in my time while I'm still, physically able and capable and hopefully mentally still somewhat there upstairs to be able to participate if needed. Is there any part of the world we don't think, from Pleasant Strolls, we don't think about where if they joined either of the two big wars or started something new could accelerate the major conflicts? Good question. Is there any part of the world we don't think about where if they joined either of the two big wars or started something new could accelerate a major conflict? Yeah, great question. 5 eyes and a blink, aka NZ. Yeah, a squint, 5 eyes and a squinty, a squint one or a blink or one eye. Crack up talk. John Connor, do you reckon China will have a go at Taiwan in the next 5 years? Possibly. given their demographic trajectory. Why wouldn't they? Yeah, like it's not off the cards to me anyway, in my thought process, based on what I've seen and looked and what pops up from time to time. It's definitely well within not only proximity, but they've shown a strong desire to want to do something, let's say, in that space. So do I reckon China will have a go in the next 5 years? Possibly. Do I think that would trigger a call up for old retirees or not retirees, old retired former soldiers? I don't know. I don't know if that would trigger anything. Rubber Kiwi 79, soldiers don't fight for reasons, they fight for each other. Every combat, they fight for each other. Well, yeah, and I agree with that, Rubber Kiwi, but I also think that's a reason too, fighting for each other. For me, that's a reason. Anyway, every combat soldier I've ever met said the same thing. I was just trying to get my mates home, wasn't worried about dying. Yeah, I think not so much for me anyway, for me personally, not so much not worrying about dying. It's was me just more sort of acknowledging, understanding that that's a possibility that could have happened. And if it came down to me, in my case, needing to not make it home and my mates making it home, then for me, the decision was easy. But again, it's always easier said than done. Like I haven't been sat there bound and blank and gagged or whatever, and person pointing the weapon at me or at my mate and saying, do this or do that, or you or him, to be able to honestly answer that, in terms of not, if you're not in that, haven't been in that situation, it's hard to answer from that perspective. But there's a whole bunch of different scenarios. Been in some other scenarios and in context and on the two-way range and enemy rounds coming back at you. And, so in those contexts and settings, been more than willing to expose myself at different times to get things sorted out and or to fight alongside the guys that I'm with. And so I guess just I haven't been in all the different types of scenarios, but there would be questions asked, I would say, of each. So I personally couldn't answer all of them anyway. Cool. I think I'm up to date on the chat. What's this bloody one showing here? There's a little one showing next to this little plus sign. Hang on, just trying to find out what it is. Now it's up there. Oh, fan funding is what it says. Okay, so maybe the comment that was before where it said it's sent UNC alert for 440 joules, it showed up with a little notification. It's under fan funding. Okay. Thank you at TX200MK5 Shooter. Thank you very much, bro. You're a kind supporter. You've been a kind supporter of the channel for a long period of time. So whatever the 440 joules is, I guess I'll find out later on. But thank you very much, bro. Whatever it is. Maybe it's just an emoji or whatever. Either way, your support and the taking time to comment here is appreciated. Back to the live chat. Drawn by Daniel. Oh, hang on. Dun, dun, dun. Dan Kidd, here's a perspective. Taliban or ISIS or any other regime ever been held to account by their own for war crimes? Or is it just the Western world? What I would say, Dan, is I would say it's only the Western world that does that sort of stuff. I don't believe that, or I'm not aware of Taliban, ISIS, Al Qaeda, whatever they want to call themselves, Islamic State or other Islamist jihadists, whatever. I'm not aware of any of those holding war crime trials against people that have fought in their name or in the name of whatever it is that they're fighting for, whatever it is that they believe. So, John Daniel, one of my great-grandfathers who served in AIF artillery in the First World War in France, served again in World War II as a platoon commander in some stores depot in Australia. Far out, man. What a history your family's got, drawn by Daniel. That's amazing, man. Buckaroony, if China does, the West will sit back like they did when Russia invaded Ukraine. What a great point, Buckaroony. We don't acknowledge Taiwan as a sovereign country, so I don't think we will go to war over it. What an very interesting and probably a very true point. Well, it is true in regards to Russia and Ukraine, right? So, yeah, great point, Buckaroony. Drawn by Daniel. So you never know, Joe. You could fold blankets with me somewhere. Hey, yeah, there you go. Here I've been, blinking, harassing Pogues for the longest time over the years with regards to, well, not over the years, on my YouTube channel, I should say. But yeah, over the years when I was serving, giving backhanded comments to that lot. Could be, and look at that, could end up be the rebels. Better watch out. Could be more than just some blankets that we're folding. Could have some other tools and surprises in store. Okay, I've noticed a few foreign ISIS fighters crying to come home lately. Can't be having too much fun where they are. Crazy, eh? There's stuff I think in Iraq or something. The what's it? The doctor or whatever his bloody mask is. There's a group of them anyway in the Middle East, been fighting for terrorism. Now having a sook when they go back to Australia, and that pissweak government over there is likely going to roll out the red carpet for them, just like they did for those ISIS women that came back. Crazy. And then they're going to get up in arms when likely, I hope it doesn't happen, but it just doesn't seem like it won't happen in terms of the way of the world and the Bondi terrorist attacks recently. Then they'll be up in arms when another terrorist attack happens in country. It's crazy, man. What's this? John Connor, I hear a lot that an amphibious invasion of Taiwan would be too costly for China. Oh, okay. Do you think this is true, or is it just something people always say? I'd never even heard that till you've shared that, John Connor. Would be too costly for China. I wouldn't have imagined it being too costly for China. But yeah, that could all be smoke and mirrors and deception as well, John Connor. Throw these things out there so that they lower their guard and think that, oh, well, they're not going to come via an amphibious invasion because that's too costly. Next minute, left my scooter outside the dairy. Dan Kidd, or Nazis or Khmer Rouge. Interesting. Yeah, 100%. I've not not internally for any of those groups either, Dan. All four of my great grandfathers served in World War One. Holy heck! 2 and World War II in AIF and 2 in British Army, all survived. Wow. All survived. Look at that, eh? That's awesome. Yeah, good for them, man. Do you have their did they keep diaries? Is there like family history and stuff from your grandfathers that served during those times, things that they've kept that have been passed on that you have access to or that you've read? Just out of curiosity, you don't need to go into it or share anything here, not unless you want to, but man, that's what a history, man, within your family, drawn by Daniel. Cherry, Dan Kidd, wouldn't that be a difference in religion and culture? Christianity, Jesus and the Virgin Mary, Islam, Muhammad, and their prophet, Jesus. It's a difference in way of life type thing. Yeah, probably. The Queen, and they have warlords along or to add to religion. Yeah, who knows? Being a Kiwi was the best job in the army. If you were not shopping Q-Mart, you were paying too much. It had a lot of perks, that job, 100%. It paid to treat the Kiwis and the cooks and admin with, at least be kind to the, and yeah, did I say cooks? Hope I said cooks. Kiwis, cooks, admin, with respect, with kindness. Let's say it never caused any further damage by being good to those groups of people. Anyway, at least during my time, can't say that I was always good to those groups of people, but I'd like to think I wasn't a blinking twat or a prick to those people either. Maybe doesn't explain Hitler. Mongols tried to invade Japan once, lost 2/3 of their fleet to the weather. It's not as easy as it looks. Yeah, I bet too. Yeah. I take that into account too. Yep, good point, Rubber Kiwi. Dan Kidd, my great uncle Alan got shot down twice in World War II, Spitfire pilot. Survived, Dan? Your great uncle? But he got shot down twice. Obviously survived the first one. Must have survived the second one as well, Dan? Is that what you mean? So I have boxes full of stuff from one of my great-grandfather's diaries, color patches, photos, negs, artifacts from the artillery guy. Wow, that's cool. That's awesome. From one of them, it'd be cool if you were able to get them from your for your other what'd you say? What's it? Great granddads? Oh bloody hell! I'm trying to find where they're drawn by Daniel. Four for the other three. All four of great grandfathers served, and two in the British Army also, and two in British Army all survived. Wow. Imagine that treasure trove of stuff there, drawn by Daniel. Taiwan have a huge army. Daniel Warren, okay. Talk 5018. My time in China really changed my perspective. I honestly don't think the average Chinese person wants war. Like people everywhere, they just want peace, family, and a normal life. That's a cool take, based on your experience and time over there too, which is it's always good to read people's thoughts and comments and hear about some of the experiences that people have had as well. Hence another reason why I'd love to be able to have this set up maybe one day so that people can just talk. And then it's easier to people to be able to get across what it is, like the better context or whatever. And then it's not just, then hopefully it won't just be me rambling. It won't just be me babbling on. I'll get to sit there and listen and I go, oh, hey, you ramble on just as much as I do. No wonder you stop by my channel. Crack up. Anyway, John Connor, to me, the most interesting question about war with China is what would happen to the around 1 million Chinese citizens in Australia and quite a few in NZ too. In World War I and World War II, they did internment camps, but how? I don't know, John. Don't forget the loggies, bro. They taketh and giveth. Yeah, true. Good point. Talk 5018. My bad, but I clearly, obviously didn't think of them. But that's well worth acknowledging. Joined by Daniel Dan Kidd. Was he RNZAF RAF? Died in a car accident in his 80s. Oh man, far out. Survived being shot down twice as a pilot. Better pilot than driver. Oh, bloody hell. I'm sorry I'm laughing, Dan. I shouldn't be bloody laughing. You didn't put a laughing face at the end, so I don't know if you're if you're laughing or not. But I don't mean any disrespect when I am laughing. I do find that funny. As I was just mentioning before I read that second comment, the weapon survived being shot down twice, sadly to tragically end up dying in a blinking car accident. But in his 80s too, bro, the man had a good innings, eh? 80 years of age, 80 years young. Mr. Buckaroony, yeah, the cookies were worth their weight in gold. Out bush. Have a Kiwi. Talk 5018. Just like everything, it's not the people, the leadership. It's the leadership is the problem. Yeah. People that are pulling the strings, eh? Buckaroony, my grandfather was so Australian, he shot 20 Japs at Pearl Harbor in 1980. Old Rodney Rude joke, that one. Bloody hell. I've heard of Rodney Rude, and I think I've heard of some of his stuff. I had not heard that one until just reading this just now, Buck. 100%, brother. John Connor, you'll have to fight me if you want my girls at the discount tobacconist. Crack up. Cherry, what were the major takes of difference you found in yourself going through and completing the Australian essay selection? The major takes of difference, major points of difference, major takes of difference you found in yourself going through and completing the Australian. Nothing really. I'm not sure what you specifically mean again, Cherry. Major takes of difference that I found in myself going through and completing the Australian essay selection. Nothing. I didn't notice any major differences in myself. Can't think of any. Not right now anyway. I don't think there was. I think even if I sat here, I am trying to think hard right now as I read your question. I don't think I was any different. Right now, I don't think I'm any different to what I was when I was serving in the military either. So, actually, probably the key changes that I would say are different about me now from when I was serving in the military. Oh, is it? Nah, because I'd already sharpened up my communication and the way that I spoke before I did the Australian SA selection. So I was already used to not swearing and using, you know, profanity or lots of bad language when I was before I got to Australia. So yeah, nah, maybe not. Yeah, I was about to say my language, but nah, I've been pretty much the same. And mind you, I've dropped a few f bombs and some bad language in some of my videos recently, and in some of my other reactions on this channel. So yeah, I've never said I don't swear at all, like because I do, but it does typically. I'll generally need to be quite worked up to be spewing blanking F bombs and C bombs and B bombs and all that sort of stuff. I interviewed a Kiwi World War II Tempest pilot. He had some terrific stories. Shot up a RAF Meteor jet that flew into his gunfire while strafing, STRAFING. Plus bailed out after a collision chasing a German jet. Holy heck. Those are some stories, eh? Like fighter pilot jets must have some blinking incredible stories, especially those that have been in the, what do they call them? The dog fights in the air. I'm thinking of Top Gun now. But yeah, unreal. And then like those two pilots recently in Iran that had to eject at blinking ridiculous speed per hour over an enemy an enemy territory, and thankfully, you know, they got out of there. The American troops sent whoever they sent in and managed to get them out. I think maybe it was Delta Force that got sent in to go get the lads out off the ground. Pretty incredible, some of the stories they must have. Rubber Kiwi, old Joe Wick over here. Now I was always since birth. What's that for? Oh, maybe is that in relation to a comment in terms of how I am now? Is that what you mean? Yeah, what I mean by that is just, I suppose, my mentality and the way I communicate. Like I feel like I've been the same. I think people that know me, aside from my early, when I first got to Battalion, before I met my darling, actually, my now wife, and then forced myself to stop communicating like the blinking garbage mouth that I was back then. So she's made, I would say, some improvements. Well, yeah, she's made a lot of improvements, I think, on me personally and as a whole. Language being one of those things, but I still slip up and have slipped up over the years from time to time. Crack up. How selection changed you? Oh, how selection changed you? Yeah, like to Cherry's question, from passing the Australian selection. Like, what were the major takes of difference you found in yourself going through and completing the Australian SAS selection? Major takes of difference. Well, nothing. If you're talking about straight after doing the Australian SA selection, I mean, my mindset was just the same as what it was in terms of when I joined the New Zealand Army. You know what I mean? Like, what I joined for was to go to the unit. I hadn't gotten there yet, so I was blinking, just tunnel vision and focused on that. I don't think there was any. And now that, and once you've passed selection, and in my case, once I'd passed it, it was like, well, now it's like it's only just beginning. Now it's time to lock in even more, and it's time to get into the work. Yeah, which was there's maybe some changes there, like probably the realization and the recognition that selection was the easy part. Cycle was easy. I say easy to say after you've been through it, I think, but they were hard. Don't get me wrong. I've always said that they were hard, but when you get into the unit is what I'm talking about. And then when you deploy as well, like you realize everything that you went through in selection and cycle was necessary. And it was that way because of the fact of operations, and being in the unit was much more, I want to say, time consuming, probably more stressful, much more higher expectation demanded, required of individuals that are in there. And then when you add on top of that, getting ready for deployment and then being on deployment, like just everything just seemed to elevate again and again and again. And it's like, for me, trying to chase this never ending, where does this level end? Like these guys are blinking. They just seem to be, for me, they seem to be constantly setting the bar higher and higher again every time I look at them when we're getting ready. But part of that is because the vast majority of the squadron that I was with were already battle tested. They had already been on several deployments operationally. So when I understood that, it made it easy for me to understand, okay, man, that's why this guy's at the level that he's at. That's why he's so squared away. That's why they're able to do this. That's why they're telling me that I should be doing this, that I need to do it like that I need to consider these things. Because they've been here, they've done this, and they've done it multiple times before, and they're paying it forward. So that's why I constantly felt like, you're trying to chase or trying to chase to catch up is what I mean. But yeah, definitely lots of changes from that side, but not after selection. How selection changed? Jawbone Daniel, when he bailed out, he landed on a cobblestone street. Oh, that would have tickled, and saw his revolver bounce down the street since his lanyard broke. Then he looked up. A woman had a bottle of wine and glass for him in Belgium. Oh, far out. How good. Look at that, looking up. A woman, bonus, wine and glass for him. Not so good, the old pistol bouncing down the road. Hopefully he probably got up and went and grabbed that first. Bro, did it snow up your ways yesterday? Oh, I think apparently in the city for a little bit. There's a bit of snow apparently in Wellington, but not here. We had some hail, but it didn't get any. Well, I didn't see any snow here where we were. It was cold though. It was definitely cold. Snowflakes in the rain. Jumbo Daniel, I have a lot of respect for the men who have served in SASA and NZSAS. That said, I think everyone plays a part, including pay clerks. 100%. Yeah. Like as cheeky and as much rivalry as there likely is, and there is in the military, between one of the first sayings I heard when I got into battalion in the army here in NZ, there's only two types of people from a corporal, and then there's only two types of people in the army: infantry and those who want to be. And that's always stayed with me, made me laugh too. He was an infantier, by the way. He was my section commander as well. Corporal Ken Tamohi, who said those words. It's always stayed with me, but everybody does, 100% right, play their part. They play an important part, from the cooks to the drivers to the pay clerks. Yeah, everybody. So, John Connor, there's a monument to a fallen American pilot near Holsworthy. Oh, right. Officially, he flew out within minutes upon hearing of the arrival of Japanese subs. Okay, wow. My father, who was one of the few around at the time, said he was completely drunk and flew the wrong way and crashed. Holy heck. But they gave it a new story in the 1970s. What the truck? That's crazy. It's cool to take the piss against all the, yeah, 100%. 100% it is. There were stories of, I think it was the gunners, or maybe it was the engineers, that one day, apparently they purchased a whole bunch of cabbages, or maybe they got them from the cooks in the mess, and they lined them out in 3 ranks on the infantry parade ground. Apparently, I never saw that. That was one of the stories, one of the, I don't know if it's, what's the word for it? Urban legends, if that's the term, or urban myths or whatever. One of the stories that we heard, a bunch of blinking drunken non-infanteers got a whole bunch of cabbages, lined them out in 3 ranks out on the infantry battalion parade ground at 1st Battalion. So how true that is or not, I don't know. I never witnessed it, like I said, but it does. I wouldn't put it past whichever corps it was, whether it was the engineers or the gunners. There's a reason things that don't work are labeled US. Unserviceable, yeah. Crack up. I see where you're going with that one, Rubber Kiwi. Yep, I get it. I get what you're putting down there. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Crack up. Here's some of these. I didn't even get to any of these. Here we go, Rubber Kiwi. there's a comment from you on here from my walk and talk with Layers with Cam. Why have you got him on a leash? Is he too excitable to run loose? I'm just going to heart that and thumbs it up. No, I didn't have any leash on. That's probably the cord that you could see, my charging cord for the Insta360 camera that I was using. So I didn't realize that the cord was going to show up so badly on the footage that I took. So at least now I know for now. Got to try to find another power bank option for my Insta360 so I can avoid that sort of rubbish. At H.E. Peter John Manthe 6295. Bloody hell, what a horrendous bloody handle. But this person has got lots of comments on my videos. Is it Maui? I don't know, bro. Baden Maxwell, Tank. That is definitely Tank teaching the hand-to-hand skills, bro. Bloody character. He's got some crack-up stories about Higgy. So good, laughing face. So that's to my, I think the video that went up today, NZSA's First Among Equals Cycle, Part 8. Those that are members, I've just completed and done the final reaction to that. So that's posted up now. That'll be available for everybody, but it's available for members now at this stage. Yeah, Tank Todd. So there must have been a part in the reaction, I think, where I was looking at them doing some of the hand-to-hand, and I think I did mention that looked like Tank Todd. So yeah, this guy's confirming that it was. Higgy's a good guy, man. I saw some old footage of New Zealand battalion fellas, and Higgy was in it. Man, strapping, young, skinny, still tall, skinny young fella there in the video footage. And I think I've saved those videos to watch later, to my watch later list, to go back and have a look at, do some reactions to. Those weren't requests, those were just things that popped up on my feed. Saw some other old faces as well. Manga, I think, was another one of the battalion guys. He was I want to say company quartermaster, I think, at that stage. Something like that, in terms of working in the Q store anyway. But for the company or for the battalion, at 1st Battalion at the time. I think he's passed away now, but I saw an image of him, man, young. Everybody looked young there in the footage that I was looking at of New Zealand infantry soldiers at the time. So, yeah, plenty of stuff. New Zealand Outdoor Blades and Bullets. That's Dave. Some awesome skills in such a small team. Specialist and cross-trained. Awesome series. Thanks for that, Dave. Heart and thumbs up these other comments. I'll just heart and thumbs up old Maui as well. Yeah, that one. What's this? 1%. Thank you, bro. Straight up, I have family that are/were 1%. At LJ Ortony. Yep. Most of the, probably all the, even the comments that I might not even agree with, if I read through all of them, there's still like hundreds in that is New Zealand becoming India video. I'm probably just going to either not delete them, either just ignore them all, or just blink and thumbs up, hearts and thumbs up the comments that are in there. The woos. Politicians pushing this policy need to be removed from politics, period. If we do not stand against this, we will soon not have a country. I think somebody put a comment on there, will be called New Zealandia. New Zealandia they had on there, which made me laugh. Oh, I've just seen this move out of the corner of my eye. Bro, did you ever have any interactions with military police in NZ or Australia? What are your thoughts on them? If you mean interactions for being in trouble, no. Not in NZ anyway. Not that I recall, no. And in Australia, the only interaction I had with them was, I've shared it in another video, was they came to hit me. They came to hit me up about a cab charge that I had used, but everything turned out all well and good because I didn't do anything dodgy, and thankfully I went to the clerks that had issued it to me. Well, anyway, the story goes, we got issued 2 cab charges in Australia for our relief out of country, or rock or leave, when we were coming out of Timor to go on I think it was a 2-week break, or maybe it was a 1-week break, something like that. I think it was 2 weeks. Anyway, cab charge to get me from the airport to a destination, then another cab charge to get me from destination to the airport, fly back into country, into Timor, etc. I didn't need to use one. I didn't need to use the one on the way going back home, because I went from Timor to Australia to New Zealand, then got picked up by my now wife, and then we went home. Then when we went back, on the way back, I went so I had a cab charge that I didn't need to use. On the way back, though, I needed to leave, I think, a day earlier just to make sure that I catch the flights, just the way that the schedule and stuff was happening. So I left NZ, flew into Australia, got to Holsworthy Barracks. So when I went from the airport to Holsworthy Barracks in Sydney, I forgot about the cab charges. So I just paid. I paid for it in cash, and then got to the barracks, waited, and then the next day caught the flight in the morning to get on the flight that I needed to go over into Timor. And so that next day, I remembered, oh, that's right, I got bloody 2 cab charges. So I used the cab charge to then go to the airport. Got there anyway. What it meant was when I come back and had leave, I had this cab charge again. I forgot about it, sitting in my wallet. Time goes by, Christmas leave comes around, go on Christmas leave, my wife comes over to Australia. I pick her up from the airport. I pay to go there. As I pay in cash, once I get the change and come back, or go to put the money back in my wallet, I was like, oh, that's right, I got my bloody other cab charge. So I used the other cab charge this time because I didn't have a vehicle in Australia at that time. When my wife arrives, we jump in a cab, we go back to Holsworthy Barracks. I use the cab charge for that. I sign it off, hand it in. The next day, I go into the office, into the admin centre at headquarters in 4RAR, and I see, just so happens, I see the same clerk who I was pretty much friends with anyway. We lived on the same floor, 3rd floor in the barracks that we were in. I'd see him from time to time. Nice guy. Saw him and I said, hey, mate, I blink in. Can I see you? He comes over, goes, yeah, what's up? Said, listen, I used this cab charge to pick up my wife, or basically we come back from the airport. It was supposed to be used from Rockall leave in Timor. That's how old it was. So obviously a few months had gone by since then, or a few weeks at least anyway. And he goes, oh, so you did what? And so I explained it to him, just used it from the airport to come back to here, to basically to the front gate at Holsworthy. And he just told me, he goes, oh, that's all right. It's all good. Like, that's what you would have used it for anyway, or you would have used it to travel to your destination from the airport to wherever, and from your location back to the airport. And that's what I thought as well. But I thought, cross the T's, dot the I's, blink in, I'll just go let them know anyway, just in case. Well, it turns out, luckily that I did do that, because I don't know, there must have been an officer, I think, that must have hopped into the taxi that I got dropped off in, must have seen the cab charge, must have spoken to the cabbie, and I was then being presented with that by these military police in Australia. So I had done selection by then, and I want to say I was on cycle. I'm pretty sure I was on the Australian cycle at that stage. And they wanted to ask me what I was doing. Basically, they were looking to come after me for fraud. So not a small thing. And I have to admit, I was like, what is this all about? But anyway, when they showed it to me and then I explained and gave my statement, they obviously did their work, their due diligence, it seems. They went back and spoke with the clerk, and he basically corroborated the story that I had told them, which I would have been surprised if he didn't anyway, because that is what happened. I wasn't trying to throw him under the bus, and he basically just said, yeah, that is what happened. So nothing happened, didn't get charged or arrested, but that's been my only interaction, my long-winded story in terms of your question about any interactions with military police. What are my thoughts on them? I don't know. I don't think I ever really thought about them. I think I was more worried about in battalion the regimental police, the RPs, because they were infanteers who were walking around, and I assumed that they had the same powers as the military police. Turns out they didn't, but I didn't know. Haraba Kiwi, he was low on battery prior planning, prevents piss poor performance. That's probably been me in a lot of cases, but I think in some cases I've done better as well. Joined by Daniel, my wife has called, dinner is ready, so I'm off. Have a good night, Joe, and all. Take care. Apologies, you've probably been gone for a while now, and I've only just read that now. But appreciate you stopping by, Joined by Daniel. Hopefully dinner's good. I should have, had I seen that earlier, I would have asked what's for dinner. What are we? Philip Carroll, as a voter, I didn't give any political party a mandate to change the face of our country. All right. Heart and thumbs that up. Sarah Lamb, no human rights for not rights. I have no idea what you're on about, Sarah Lamb 2333. That's in relation to, should name suppression be afforded to registered child sex offenders? And my response to that is no. There have been people that responded in there saying that identities of those offenders should be given with victim or victim's permission. I said I appreciated that person adding their voice. I personally don't align with that thought. I think I feel offenders' identities, names should be released regardless of whether the victim wants them released or not. But then I read the person's comments and they were coming from the perspective they work with a number of people and victims, I think, in their space. And they mentioned something. I'm going off the top of my head here without trying to go through the comments because it'll be somewhere down in the Blinken list of things around naming the perpetrator or the offender also potentially exposes in some way the victim or victims. I don't know how that works or why. If anybody's going to have name suppression permanently, it should be the victims and not the offender. From there, I think the only way victims' identities would be released is by the Blinken twat offender. Hence why death penalty is a good and valid reason to reinstate it, I think, for twats like sexual offenders. As I shared, I think, in another live, what possible good or value do they add to the community? Can somebody give an answer to that? Maybe I should do a video on that. What good is it keeping sexual offenders in the community or in the prison system? Why should they not be just executed, or death penalty, however people want to frame it so it doesn't sound as bad? But essentially, execute them. Don't need them. There's no value that they add. They just cause heartache and hurt, which stays with those individuals and their families for the rest of their life. It's a life sentence for the victim, and it's a 3-year, but serve a third of the sentence slap on the wrist for Blinken. Very feel like swearing again for those twats that go and do that sort of stuff. So anyway, I'll move off that topic right now because that's no good, that one. Paul Commodore 4151. This is on the 1998 NZSA selection video that I put up. They actually blamed the leadership of the regular force infantry battalions for allowing the attrition rate to go through at the rate that it did, whereas a lot of soldiers that the SAS had been eyeing up actually ended up moving on to Civvy Street. In the end, there just wasn't the pool of talent available for selection that should have been there. I'm not sure what you mean, Paul Commodore, when you're saying that the SAS had been eyeing up the SAS, maybe in the days of Major Frank Rennie, when he was organising and tasked with getting a group of men together to form the originals, the NZSAS. Maybe that time and that era, they were going around eyeing up soldiers and going, okay, hey, do you want to come over here and do this thing? But for the longest time, there's the SAS itself, as far as I'm aware, doesn't go around targeting and going, yeah, hey, do you want to come and do this? You want to come and do this? If things like that happen, it's usually just by chance. An operator might be somewhere, maybe on a course with somebody who's not a badged member of the unit, as some of those courses happen. All arms courses happen at different times, and conversations may happen then. But again, that's not the unit going around proactively searching for people to come and do a selection course. So I'm not sure what you mean there on your comment, but anyway, at Brian Finity 947. I like the way that in NZ you have to spend thousands with lawyers to protect what you own in a relationship. That's on the Is New Zealand Becoming India? I think there was a whole bunch of random comments that just flooded that India video reaction that I did. The first step, drop tools, no tax paid. That's from Jimmy Call. Again, is New Zealand becoming India? I'm just hearting these comments because it's just so that they remove off this comment thread in the back end on the studio there. Non-fiction one. Throughout history, being a citizen actually meant something. You had more rights than people who were not citizens. Not anymore, or maybe the opposite is true. That's a fair comment. I think that's probably the case. Not that I know all of history, but you'd like to think that being a citizen actually afforded you, in that country, maybe not a heck of a lot more, but maybe meant a bit more, just in principle, i.e., only citizens should be voting. I never knew that until I got sent that video that I did the reaction to, and then have been having a look. And then as I read out on Monday, just the whole bunch of what's it, the need to not have to be a citizen and you can still vote. Still pretty crazy to me. Oh, I see now the corner of my eye, this thing moved again. Buckaruni, my son lost his East Timor trip over a bloody cab charge. Did a similar thing. He put his discharge in after they took him off the Timor trip. Oh, wow, Buck. What a, yeah, such a, I mean, if he did a similar thing to me, like, I'm just glad that whoever the MPs were that were doing that investigation, and shout out to the clerk as well, who corroborated exactly what happened, because that is what happened. And I can speak to it now because I know that's what happened. And basically I would have said the same sort of things to the MPs at that time. And so the clerk would have remembered the conversation, not because I was worried, but because he knew that I was there to just do the same thing, like call myself out on it and just go, hey, listen, I did this thing. And I do remember saying to him, I used it, but not sure if that was allowed. If I have to reimburse the money, I can. I think at the time, the taxi from Holsworthy to the airport might have cost me about 60 or $65, something like that. But I used the cab charge to cover it, because I thought, oh, well, I didn't use it during my Rockall leave, so I'll use it now, even though it was weeks or months after. But I was prepared to pay for it. So thankfully, the clerk said, oh, no, yeah, the guy did come. I told him it was okay, it was fine, because he would have used it for his leave anyway. It's just been used, several weeks or a couple of months or whatever later after the deployment was done. That's man. Imagine how many good people, I imagine, Buck, that have probably, have wanted to serve, or that the Defence Force, I should say, has missed out on having to go in and serve for them on the back end of blanket just rubbish that happens. To miss out on the trip over a blinking cab charge is useless, is what I'd say. Useless on the part of whoever was handling that situation. Rubber Kiwi, protecting the victim is important. What about the next victim, though? Yeah, 100%, eh? Name and shame on 6 o'clock news. Keep all the kids safe. Yeah, I agree with that too. So again, my opinion is blinking name and shame them. The fact that he's part of a wealthy family is a bit of a, I have my suspicions around that. Why it's prominent in the headline, well, good on the journalist for putting that in there, but thinking a wealthy family, clearly they must have some sway or some pull. Would that happen if it was old Blinken, a Pohara family? Would they get permanent name suppression if they were, not a wealthy family? Anyway, you can go on and on about that one. Rubber Kiwi, you asked to join, you don't get asked like the movies. You asked to join, you don't get asked like the movie. I've probably missed something on there. Cherry, sexual offending, etc., is a crime, and crime is everywhere. It's nothing new, and should have, from a long time ago, had a firm, unmovable punishment that doesn't leave people throughout all years question. Yep, I think I'm with you, Cherry, in terms of what you're saying. Yeah, and my opinion is that should be a death penalty offence. That's my take. Throughout all years, question, and then questioning it. Cheers, Cherry. Talk at the cab charge only used for certain things or something, bro. Are the cab charges only used for certain things or something? Well, in that case, it was used for my leave to get me. So the 2 cab charges issued to what I ended, from my understanding, to everybody at that time on that deployment. Me being one of those people, got issued 2 cab charges with the instructions, basically use the cab charge to get you from the airport to your destination or your place of leave or holiday. So you fly into wherever your airport is, Brisbane, Sydney, wherever guys were going. In our case, we were all going into Sydney, those on our leave at that time, and then use the cab charge to get from the airport to wherever it is, home, barracks, wherever it was that you're going. And then the reverse, get from your place of residence back to the airport, so then you get on your flight, your connecting flight to take you back in the country. That's what it was to be used for. So that's probably partly why I went to the clerks at RHQ or at headquarters at Commander Headquarters and said, hey, I used the cab charge to get from the airport to the barracks, which is what I would have done had I done that, had I been going to the barracks. But like I said, I was going to NZ, had a connecting flight to NZ, so I didn't need to leave the airport. But I used it at this time instead. So yeah, anyway, it all worked out in the end. So I'm glad. Certain things or something, yeah, maybe mine was probably more specific for that thing, or something specific, if I'm reading your question correctly. And maybe strictly speaking, I didn't use it exactly for that. In theory, though, I suppose, I used it to get from the airport back to camp, which is what I would have used it for had I been going to camp. But and at that time when I used it, I didn't. The good thing about it is that what's the name? That there was no consequences for me after that. It basically, it's like, okay, cool, everything checks out with what you said, so we're going to let that go. Thankfully for me. Rubber Kiwi, death penalty sounds harsh, but you'd be amazed how many don't do the crime when it's on the table. How many don't do the crime when it's on the table? Not sure what you mean, Rubber Kiwi. Death penalty sounds harsh, but you'd be amazed how many don't do the crime when it's on the table. Not sure what you mean. Cherry, in the UK, I heard of a stabbing at a bus stop and a young girl thought, damn, NZ seems to be less to the extent of crime of the US and UK at least. In the UK, I heard of a stabbing. Yeah, UK, US, that stuff has happened. Definitely heard and read and seen some of that stuff. I don't know if NZ is less extent. Maybe that's something here in NZ we might like to think, that we have less of the sort of crime, and probably on a numbers point of view, we probably do have less. But yeah, you thought, damn, NZ seems to be less to the extent of crime of the US and UK at least. And that's probably a fair comment too. Overall, we likely are, but still, those sort of things, sadly, they do happen, no matter where we are. Buckaruni, I worked in the pedo units as a screw at the Townsville prison. Oh man, you must have seen some stuff, Buck. If only they let us have guns inside the wire. Some of their offences were horrific. Yeah, I can only imagine. Morning to, was that QUASAR Fire? I'm just going to call you Fire 2500. Morning, good evening to you, but morning to you wherever you are. Rubber Kiwi, I'll rob a bank if it's 6 months in prison, not if they'll kill me for it. Yeah, I think even then, some people's wiring, like as an example, not because I want to dwell on the topic, but seen as it's come up and some of the comments and stuff that I've read on here so far, pedophiles as an example. Clearly, I think there's something massively wrong upstairs, which I don't know that even if you make the penalty, the death penalty, even if the consequence is what I mean, even if you make the consequence the death penalty, I still would seriously question whether or not that would stop those pedophiles from still engaging in that sort of activity. I don't know that it would stop them. I think there's a group of severely mentally retarded blinking idiots in the world who have got some demented, twisted thought in their head in and around what they would like to do with young children. And like, if we're just focusing on children at this stage for this little rant that I'm on, that I don't think there would be any punishment. I don't know if there would be any punishment aside from some sort of gruesome, torturous punishment that might potentially cause them to take a step back and have a second thought. But I think a death penalty, as much as I'm a supporter of, a death penalty being reintroduced, I think there's some value and benefit to it. And I think if people actually sat down and discussed that properly and identified the types of charges and offences that should warrant a death penalty, and then put that out to their citizens for a vote and go, hey, this is what we're lobbying for, or this is what we're presenting, this is what we are presenting as part of our electoral campaign, and these are the reasons why. we would love to get your thoughts and input on it. Yes, no, or whatever other, and then take that information and utilize that in maybe a further discussion, whatever the process needs to be then to get that in. If the overwhelming response is yes, 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 then from the citizens of that country, then I think you're onto something. But I just don't know if even a death penalty is where I was going, if that would be enough of a deterrent to those bloody retards. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. I hear what you're saying, Robert Kiwi. I was looking at the old Robber Bank part of your message, and then it come out Robert Kiwi. If it's 6 months in prison, not if they'll kill me for it. Interestingly, the death penalty has very little effect on violent crime statistics. It's not really the deterrent we think it is. Cool. So that's where I was coming from. I don't know if the death penalty will deter pedophiles, as an example. Doesn't seem to deter, not that there's a death penalty here in NZ or Australia, etc., other places, but it doesn't seem to deter serious offending, or like you said, would you say violent crime? It doesn't seem to deter that. But is that because there aren't death penalties in place? Like, I don't know. We don't have death penalties in place. I think so New Zealand, Australia don't, UK don't, from what I understand. The US doesn't, or maybe there is certain parts of the US that do. I don't know. I could be wrong. Anybody from the US, they'll be able to correct me on that, or do a Google search or whatever. But is the reason why violent crime is still so high is because doesn't appear to be any attempts to deter violent crime. Like, yeah, what are the deterrents? What are the options? Life imprisonment? Oh, what? You mean I get housed for the rest of my life and I get 3 meals a day? I just don't have the other freedoms or luxuries that I have. Oh, and by the way, there's a whole bunch of corruption in the prison, so I can still get stuff in and out of here that I want to, mobile phones, communications, etc., etc. I don't know. Yeah, it's not a great life, to be inside and be doing that, but it's not really a deterrent either, in my opinion. So would the death penalty be a deterrent? To your point, fire 2,500? Probably not. But I tell you what, from my perspective, my uneducated take is it would be a lot less stress and pressure on the correction system itself and on communities and on taxpayers. That's where my head goes. More just for the fact that why are you keeping useless pieces of trash like that saw it fit within themselves to violate another person, let alone a child, whether it's violent crimes, whether it's sexual offending, whether it's murder, because they were just having a bad day, or because they were abused as a young person, so they think that they should be able to do that to other people. Like, nah, like, we don't need those sort of people roaming this earth, in my opinion, anyway. But I take your point, fire 2,500. Rubber Kiwi won't stop everybody, committing crimes. That's why you follow through with the executions. Won't do it twice, 100%. Won't be doing that reoffending cycle, Rubber Kiwi, which, as we know, a lot of those that do offend get into a reoffending cycle, and oftentimes it's the same type of offending that's happening over and over and over again. So I hear you, bro. Yep. Cherry, the death penalty would sort of have a big effect on major crime. Yeah, I don't know. How would it not? Well, we need to put it in play to test your theory out there, Cherry, I reckon. I don't know that it would. Just like I said, just like I was sharing my thoughts about, these retarded blinking pedophiles out there. In the world of AI and tech, the reach of everywhere, every time, I'm not sure how it would last or come about. What do you mean? Do you mean the death penalty? You lost me there. How would it not, in the world of AI and tech, the reach of everywhere, every time, I'm not sure how it would last or come about. Well, sorry, Cherry, I'm not sure what you mean in the latter half of your comment. Joined by Daniel. I'm back again, having just done the dishes. Bro, you got to tell us, what did you have for dinner then? What did you have? What did you enjoy? What did your sweetheart make for your fella's dinner? And what do people do when you have your dinner? Do you have dinner and then do you have like a dessert after? Or is that just like once a week thing? Was that an every night thing? Do people have desserts after every time they have a meal or dinner? I'm just curious. I don't. I'm just curious what other people do. 2,500. Lots of US states still have it. Okay, cool. Lots of US states still have it. Those states don't have any lower crime than non-death penalty ones. So your comment, fire 2,500, probably goes to Cherry's comment earlier. You know, there's at least some evidence and information to show in regards to her first part, where Cherry is saying the death penalty would sort of have a big effect on major crime. Yeah, and you've got evidence there, I assume, and statistics that show it doesn't really appear to have any impact or on lowering crime than non-death penalty ones. I guess the argument for not having the death penalty is that it does cost more with appeals, etc. Oh, cost more with appeals. Maybe that's something else in the legal system that needs to be looked at. I'm no lawyer or legal Einstein, but yeah, okay. You know, I suppose there must be ways for that to drag on, but equally so, then I assume that there's ways to quash any appeals, like, you know, the Ben Roberts-Smith defamation trial, for fear of bringing that up again, but not that I mind. He appealed 3 times. It got rejected 3 times. It went to the Supreme Court, as an appeal as well. So essentially a 4th time, and it got rejected there too. So it seems like clearly appeals could be managed, if that's the right term, and they can either be heard or not heard. And so I don't know that it needs to be, and I could be wrong, fire 2,500. It doesn't sound to me like it needs to carry on forever, and it can't be, surely it can't cost more than keeping the person alive in a system and then just continuing to foot the bill for those twats. But I don't know. I haven't seen any statistics or anything on it. Rubber Kiwi, did you stand on a stool to reach the sink? Daniel, no offense. better to laugh than cry. So the internet is always humor. Cracker, what'd you have? That's what stools are for. Yeah, that's right. Plus, I have a tall wife and tall ex-wife, so I've always had help with that. You've selected wisely, then, joined by Daniel. It sounds like no dessert. I had a spicy chicken breast thing with some salad. Oh, nice. Sounds good. No dessert. NZ for life. Singapore and Japan have tough consequences. Have tough consequences for crime? It's shaped by the way their people behave and act over the years. Safest countries in the world. I had sausages and rice for dinner. No dessert. Sausages and rice. We've had some nice spicy chicken breast thing with salad. Sausages with rice. No dessert. No dessert. Okay, cool. That's good. I have to say, it's not. It's just a thought that I had. Is that a normal thing for people to have dessert? Seems like so far, no. Which is cool, which is good. Rubber Kiwi, I eat once a day. Got to maintain my slim, girlish figure in case Milan wants me to supermodel. 6'1", 65, 70 kgs since high school. Holy hecker. Light, man. Light. Lean. There we go. Fire 2005. I'm no lawyer either, but I think these are different types of appeals to RS. All I know is that for the US systems, the court costs often are greater than keeping them in prison for life. Wow, that's crazy. Greater than keeping them in prison for life. I would love to see, like, I've never seen, this has just sparked, you've just sparked the thought in my head, fire 2,500. I'll just call you fire for short, fire. This has just sparked the thought in my head. I would love to know what figures are for one person on a life sentence who's been in prison for, say, 20 years. Go 10, 20, 30 years. What does that cost? What does that cost look like over that period of time for anywhere? US, NZ, Australia, versus how much it costs for an appeal. And I don't know what the time frame would be, but how much it costs for an appeal to go through that process. That's crazy to me, bro. Fire, reading that. Reading your comment. All I know is that for the US systems, the court costs are often greater than keeping them in prison for life. Surely not. I think to myself, fire 2,500, I think surely that can't be the case. If that's the case, there must be some numbers around, eh? That's trucking ridiculous. Also, for the record, my wife is 5'8", and the tallest woman I have been with is almost 6'3". Whoo, 6'3". That's tall. Well, to me, that's tall. To NBA players, that won't be very tall, eh? Rubber Kiwi, all speed, no drag, brother. Yep, look at that. I like it. Fire 2005. I'll see if I can get some numbers. Man, that would be super interesting to know. Yeah, like if you get some numbers, let me know. Or whack them in here in the chat. That just seems crazy to me. Costs more for appeals than to have somebody in prison for life. Surely that can't be right. 6'3", damn, it's like climbing a tree. Crack up. And your favorite animal is the giraffe. Okay, well, just unreal. Man 78. This is in relation to my name suppression video. Well, just unreal. The McSkimming debacle is helping to normalize these pathetic sentences for these monsters. Geez, it seems like it, eh? Like, what did that guy just got a slap on the wrist, basically? Home detention for, I don't know how long. Pretty crazy, man. I'll give that a thumbs up and a like on there at Man78, who has been on here a few times too and commented on here. What's this? It's all the same line. It's all the same line down, drawn by Daniel. The green guy, 72. This is a comment on one of the YouTube channels, my post around New India or New Delhi or New Zealand. He's got here, well, they've got here, yeah, we becoming a little Mumbai. Possibly. Billy, never judge someone's character based on the words of another. Instead, study the motives behind the words of the person casting the bad judgment. Susie Kasim, rise up and salute the sun. He's got that in brackets, that last part. That's in relation to one of my reactions, part 7 of my reaction in the Sam Bamford interview, interviewing Scott Jones. Only New Zealand citizens should vote, period, exclamation mark. I agree with that. Like, I just think citizens should be the ones voting, not permanent residents. You know. Anyway, let's see how Winston Peters goes with getting that through, and see if that helps shift and change things. From what I understand, from what I've seen, Winston Peters has got that's one of his things that he looks overseas. So when people are talking about government blame, looking at and or looking to blame something, not immigration, but the government, he's got that. That's probably why, and maybe why he's pushing so hard for this legislation or policy change, because I see it sits under his remit for his portfolio of, I guess, things that he needs to oversee and look after. Who's this? Te whako o te rangi? O te rangi? Or te rangi pārangi? Bro, this government, corrupt free trade, more Indians, vote national, act out. It's happening everywhere. Bro, this government corrupt free, and there's no full stop or punctuation or anything anywhere. So I'm just going to read it all. Bro, this government corrupt free trade, more Indians, vote national, act out. It's happening everywhere. That's it. So I don't know if there's supposed to be pauses or anything in there. And I don't particularly fully know what this person's talking about. Are they talking about vote national and act out? If that's what they mean, it's happening everywhere. Yeah, I'm not sure. NZ for life. Singapore and Japan have corporal punishment. So does Australia. Well, in the regiment on selection, anyway, they have a corporal punishment. Singapore and Japan have corporal punishment. I know. I understand what you're saying here. I'm saying they have the role of a cadre staff, selection directing staff, who's typically given the title of corporal punishment. So here you've got have corporal punishment, but that's probably not going far enough, even in this case. Capital punishment, question mark. I actually believe we should have that sort of thing come back to New Zealand. I don't think crims fear the law anymore. Innocent, law-abiding citizens are at risk and suffer. Yeah, man, I agree with you, man. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening everywhere. You got teenagers these days, blinking, holding small towns and parts of Australia and stuff at not to ransom, like literally, but they're going out causing a whole bunch of havoc. Just seen some media stuff recently, got a Toyota Land Cruiser, thinking hooning around everywhere. Police are chasing them, young children. So to the earlier comment about compulsory service, I think it'd be a great thing. Maybe it needs to go so far as compulsory doing cadets time as well, maybe in addition to compulsory military service for a couple of years. Who knows? Yeah, I don't have the answers to it, but it's definitely, I think, things that are conversations worth having and worth discussing. Would be cool if there was an Aussie SAS version. That's in regards to First Among Equals. Oh, I think you mean in regards to, this is from Ben Hayes. I'm assuming you mean in regards to them showing cycle, like what I've been reacting to recently. Yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be good to see. You've got here, there is, Joe reacted to it a year ago, 2 hours long though. Oh, I think that's from Rubber Kiwi. I thought that was more, was that cycle as well? Oh, maybe it was. Bloody hell. It was that long ago. I thought it was just selection. Maybe it was selection and cycle then, for the Australian one. But yeah, I took this comment being specifically for cycle. There you go. That's Rubber Kiwi that's responded to that. Rubber Kiwi, was that cycle as well, the Australian reaction that I did? Bloody hell, I should remember that, eh? I thought it was just selection. Anyway, Rubber Kiwi, there's some mountains that way too. Daniel lying down. I had a very drunk night in Hamilton. The image is still burnt into my retinas. Sobered up real fast and walked 12 miles home in the rain. John Connor, I wouldn't trust death penalty. Look at MAID in Canada. You'd have guys on death row for using AI on old Facebook pics that their scorned wives turned them in for. If not, penalties become arbitrary. Yeah, I mean, appreciate your comments and stuff in here too, John Connor. I think there's definitely a whole massive amount of work and discussion that would need to happen before anything like that took place. For me, what I'm saying is I'm a supporter of the death penalty. I think there's a lot of value in it, and I think if it's discussed and processes are gone through well, and those discussions and, dare I say, like I said, voting on it again within your country with the citizens, then I think it's a good thing. And then looking at and probably considering and learning from those things, like what you've highlighted here, MAID in Canada, sounds like there'd be some lessons and watch-outs to look out for, which could be part of that discussion and the planning of how do we address these things, how do we manage them, how do we mitigate them, how do we eliminate them so that they don't happen. Yeah. But anyway, again, bigger brains than me, or sorry, not even bigger brains, smarter people than me need to get involved and be looking at that stuff. If not, penalties become arbitrary to compensate, like how in China the constitution is full of decent rights and there is death penalty, but the reality is anything is arbitrarily enforced there. Okay, interesting. John Connor, people are the flaw in most systems. John by Daniel, if you watch the ABC Four Corners Ghosts of Timor docos, for whatever it is worth, some of the info is spot on and some of it isn't. Roger that, John by Daniel. I think we'd say the same for most things, or for a lot of things. There's probably some things that are spot on in the 60 Minutes stuff, even though I slag them off, and some things probably not, and or probably a lot of context, which it appears there's been a lot of context missing from those documentaries in regards to war crimes, recent war crimes anyway. So yeah, thanks for that heads up though, drawn by Daniel. I'll definitely get to that, especially seeing as Buck has emailed it through as well. Jace, fun fact, maybe average time in prison for US death row, 22 years with extensive appeals process. Maybe average time in prison for US death rows, 22 years with extensive appeals process. Far out. Maybe that's what Fire 2500 was meaning, because the appeals process, if it goes in, because there's such a long period of time, and in that time, obviously, no executions can take place. Maybe that's where all the costing and stuff adds up. Wow. Rubber Kiwi selection was a series you did later. For the Search for Warriors. The Search for Warriors, I thought that was the selection. But hey, thanks for the heads up. I'd have to go back and have a look at what I bloody reacted to. I know it was blinking hours of reaction. Joined by Daniel. Thanks for the laughs, Kiri. Fire to them. Did my comments show, or did YouTube stop them due to me putting links? Oh, bro, I haven't. I'm looking on the actual YouTube chat, and I haven't seen any of your comments come through with the links, bro. So maybe YouTube stopped it or something. I'm not sure. Rubber Kiwi, the world's a crappy enough place. Laugh when you can, bro. Yeah. Sorry, bro. Overstepping. Not a mod. Just trying to help the bro. Not a mod. Mod. Oh, I'll probably miss something. Sorry, Rubber Kiwi. Sorry, bro. Overstepping. Not a mod. Just trying to help the bro. Not a mod. Do you mean mod? Not a moderator? Well, I don't think anybody comes onto my live. You say what you want. Like those that have followed me for a while have seen enough blinking. Probably, actually, to be fair, I don't think I've had that many retards come onto my live chats and gob off. Obviously, you get some, but I think that's the same with anything. Maybe, who knows? Maybe those are my famous last words, and I've just jinxed myself. And so the next live is just going to be full of retards that are bloody just do my head in. But yeah, if you mean not a mod or moderator, just trying to help the bro. Fellas having conversations between yourselves or whatever, questions being asked, thoughts and opinions being shared, blank and heck, whether they're similar to mine or different to mine, which we've seen some of that here tonight and on other lives, all good here on my live. So part of the same reason I don't bother blocking any, comments on any of my videos. So, but I can't speak to Fire 2500. I'm not sure why there aren't any links showing up, bro. So apologies. It's not anything in my settings either. So I haven't got any settings to block anything. It did give me the option to hold. I think it has put a hold on comments or hold all comments or none at all. And I was just like, yeah, nah, don't put a hold on anything. People can say whatever it is that they want. So appreciate people, well, hopefully feeling comfortable enough to say what they like on here without worrying about offending anyone or some people. Some people might get offended though. I think it's a standard YouTube thing. DW about it. What's DW? Yeah, bloody hell. I'm not hip with the blink and short abbreviations. DW about it. Anyway. What's this one? Oh. Sorry, bro. I will remember that now. Don't worry about it. Got it. With you. I'm a bit slow, but I'll get there with some of these abbreviations and stuff. What's this? Mikhail Krylov, NZ is beholden to its foreign investors, trade agreements, international organizations such as OECD, and lobbyists. If you look at affirmative action incentives within New Zealand, the picture becomes quite clear. Full stop. A dog must obey its master if it wishes to eat. Holy hecker. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm understanding at least what you've got down in here with regards to your comment, bro. So yeah, I don't know what that bigger picture is and where that information and stuff is, but there's probably, if I looked hard enough, I'd probably come across and find some of that stuff. Clearly, there's some arrangements and agreements that New Zealand's pretty keen on having and maintaining with India. And as a result of that, there's likely going to be knock-on effects and expectations and give and take on both sides of what needs to happen in order for that free trade, the free trade agreement to continue. Lincoln free trade. It's this 2005. To sum it up, each case costs 2.5 to 5 times more for death penalty, which roughly equates to roughly 1.3 million. Holy heck. So to sum it up, each case costs 2.5 to 5 times more for the death penalty, which roughly equates to roughly 1.3 million. So the case costs 2.5 to 5 times more for the death penalty. So that's ongoing. Keeping the case ongoing is how I'm interpreting that. For the death, so appeals, I'm assuming, is what you mean, which roughly equates to 1 to 3 million. So you're saying that it's 2.5 to 5 times more to keep the case going for the appeals, and it'll only cost 1 to 3 million to have the execution? To me, that still sounds cheaper. Or am I missing something? Am I completely misinterpreting that? Jason says got 1 to 3 million. Yep, 1 to 3 million. So is it 1 to 3 million to carry out the execution? Or is it and it's 2.5 to 5 times more to keep the case going? Help me out here. Actually, Fire 2500 might be sick and tired of helping me out because he just had to explain what DW meant. But he did. So I'm assuming he's going to come back in. You've got here to sum it up. Each case costs 2.5 to 5 times more for the death penalty, which roughly equates to 1 to 3 million. So again, my questions are still the same. Are you saying that the case to keep it ongoing for appeals is going to be 2.5 to 5 times more, and it would only cost 1 to 3 million to execute the piece of trash or pieces of trash? Anyway, there's no comment come up on here unless YouTube has blocked you from commenting. If nothing else, I hope people are having a laugh anyway at some stage. Hang on, here we go. That 2.5 to 5 ends up being 1 to 3 million more than a standard life case. Court costs for a life sentence are 1 to 3 million cheaper. Oh, man. I'm still confused. I'm not intentionally trying to be confused. I'm just still confused. That 2.5 to 5 times ends up being 1 to 3 million more than standard life case. Court costs for a life sentence are 1 to 3 million cheaper. But isn't that just for the time of when the case is happening? So if you just execute the trash, then there's no more costs ongoing for that person. So those 2.5 to 5 times more costs, surely they disappear or they don't carry on. Sorry, what have we got here? Can you say your Instagram for people to send links to, Joe? Oh, yeah. So my Instagram is just Joe Hortai. Is it? Hang on, let me check. Yeah, it's just Joe Hortai. That's my Instagram. Oh, bloody hell. Hey, why is it? Surely that's not logged out. Here we go. I'll just share the screen on my Instagram. Oh, bloody hell. What's that? Get off there. Share. So those that don't know, now you know. That's my Instagram. Hopefully that helps. And then you can send a message there. Oh, I've got a message sitting in here already. All right. I'll look at that later. But that's the Instagram. Hopefully that helps. Just Joe Hortai, all one word, all lowercase. Yeah, hopefully that helps. Whoever, that was Rubber Kiwi. Tried to do it with a link because I'm, oh yeah, can do that. Rubber Kiwi. Iron Lion, I'm learning something new. Very much appreciated. Are you learning how unintelligent I am? You didn't say what you're learning, but appreciate you stopping by at Iron Lion 16. That's a good reggae song, that one. Sent it to you on Insta. Cool, roger that. I will get to it after this. Appreciate you sending that through, and I'll have a look. And then next live, I will not only know what DW means, if anybody puts that in a comment to me again, I'll also hopefully have been able to connect the dots in my scrambled brain as I read the summaries from Fire 2500, who's tried his damnedest to help get the information through to my blank and through my skull. What do we got here? Bro, you may regret it. I'm abrupt and can be pretty offensive. Just a warning. This is from @thegreenguy7268. Well, I haven't seen you. You haven't jumped on tonight's live anyway. And if you are abrupt, no mai, bro. No mai, haramai. Welcome. Hello, everyone. Drawn by Daniel again. Is that the real drawn? Yeah, it is drawn by Daniel. There's a lot of info. I'm probably not doing a good job summarizing it, bro. I'm not doing a very good job, as you can clearly tell, of me trying to interpret it. So you probably summarized it spot on, and I'm just not getting it. Jason C, bet you got DH down pat. DH, oh bloody hell! Now he's testing me. Don't worry. Oh yes. I got it. No DHs allowed. Yeah, I got it. Rubber Kiwi, dark wing duck. Duck wing duck. Dark wing duck, obviously, bro. Rubber Kiwi. Is that like Long Duck Dong? Is that off the same movie? I forget what that movie is. An old movie anyway. John Connor. Got to go now. Enjoy the stream. Enjoy your night. Cheers, John Connor. Appreciate you stopping by. TLO. How do you train hard without pre-workout? Is this something you learned in the SAS? No, I think it's just something you learn to do. It's the same with getting up and going to work and working hard. You work hard. Never had no pre-workout back then. My pre-workout probably would have been a kick up the backside from my mum or a slap around the ears from her. Either way, that was a good Lincoln wake me up to bloody work hard. So, yeah, I mean, TLO, I think last time were you on here? I think, was it you that mentioned that you use pre-workout? The 90s cartoon. Yeah, so pre-workout just was never a thing for me and I guess my generation. Protein powders and stuff have been around, and I guess pre-workout has been more of a thing. That's probably not accurate, eh? What I say, pre-workout hasn't been a thing in my life. Of course, it's a thing in my lifetime, but it wasn't a thing when I was growing up, when I got older, playing sports, when I joined the army, when I was in the army, when I went for selection, when I changed over to Australia, when I did their selection, like pre-workout, even then at that stage, maybe if it was a thing, it wasn't it wasn't spoken about like what it is now. So yeah, you just get used to it. You just adapt and you understand the requirements and you have an understanding of your body. So body, like today, had an opportunity, felt pretty good, felt really good actually. So I pushed a bit harder on my training. Some days I don't feel as good because probably that accumulation of volume and work and intensity and the strain on the central nervous system and all that sort of stuff, and just aches and pains and body and muscles trying to recover physically and mentally. Don't always feel like I can push hard every day. So you don't. It was the same when I was preparing for selection. I couldn't push hard every day, but I felt like I knew that I was putting in work every day and that I was working hard every day, even though I wasn't necessarily redlining on every session, because I don't know that anybody can. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a healthy thing to redline every day, or that's depending on what you mean by work hard or push hard. How do you train hard? How do you train hard without pre-workout? Yeah, I think you're the first person who's ever asked me that question. No, I didn't learn it in the SAS. I think if I had have tried to wait till I got into the SAS to learn how to work hard, I would have failed selection. I would have failed selection in '98. I would have failed selection in Australia in 2002. So understanding and knowing your body and part of your upbringing and all that sort of stuff, I think all of that just plays a part. I've spoken about that before. Yeah, I think it all just plays a part without having a loving parent that loves you so much. This is for your own good, son. Next minute, tears and snots and blinking, being told to shut up or you'll get another one. There's some pre-workout there for that. Gotta go. Yeah, read that. Rubber Kiwi. Do it until it stops hurting and then do it harder. That's from Rubber Kiwi. Yeah, sometimes some of that, with regards to the training and stuff itself. I just seen some laughing faces come up. TLO, awesome, thanks. No, you're all good. Thanks for the question. Like I said, you're the first person that's ever asked me that question. So yeah, appreciate it. I don't know if my answer helped at all, but that's the best I could do. Here's this the longest handle in the world. I'm just going to go 6295. Peter John something. Australia's closest country A sister country are the Kiwis. Full stop. Love the Kiwis, exclamation mark. All so friendly. Full stop. And then LOL on the end. Righto, mate. Crazy world. It isn't. That was in regards to the India post. Are we New Zealand or New India? Crazy world 7115. It isn't the fault of immigrants. We do not have a border with anyone. The blame lies squarely at the feet of the New Zealand governments. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a couple of things to that. I mean, both have responsibility, right? So government has responsibility to have policies that are working in the best interest of its people, of its citizens, of the residents even that are there. But also immigrants coming over have a responsibility to either assimilate, to be good people, to not be dickheads, to come into country or the country that they're looking to immigrate to and move to, and either conform to how things are there while still holding on to your values and what it is that you believe. We're not saying remove that stuff, but, and you don't need to convert to Christianity or anything like that. You could come and have no religion. Like that part, I don't think really cares. It's the probably countries, New Zealand included, maybe needing to define more clearly what are our values that we want immigrants that come to this country to have, to hold dear, to respect, to not try to overstep the mark. I.e., one of those things might be, don't come into a foreign country and try to rename a suburb of New Zealand heritage or whatever the case may be that's been named here in Aotearoa in New Zealand, whether it's a European name that's been given to it, that's been here since New Zealand has been around, or, you know, since Blinken, people want to use the term colonization, or, you know, at the stages for a long period of time. I don't know what that time frame is, but don't come here and then try to change from another country the name of a particular place. So there's both sides to that. Immigrants have a responsibility. Same when I immigrated to Australia. I have a personal responsibility as an immigrant to conform, to abide by the rules that are there in Australia. I chose to go there. Love that place, love that country. So I need to abide by how they do things, not go there and go, well, you know, there should be a marae here. I should have a marae here so I can enjoy and connect with my roots, and this land, you know, should be dedicated and consecrated for my marae, for where I'm from back on the East Coast, and Te Tai Rāwhiti, Ngāti Porou, we need like that. Just, no, you don't, bro. Like, you're in Australia, you chose to go there. They don't have marae there. So you blink in, you make do with what you have, and you conform, assimilate, abide by those rules. So to your comment, crazy world, I think, you know, that in and of itself is probably just a topic, a video, a discussion in and of itself. If not, I've just turned it into one anyway on this live. But I think I can relate to, well, I can sort of understand, I guess, what you're talking about in terms of definitely New Zealand governments have a role, responsibility in that. But to suggest or try to suggest that immigrants don't, it isn't the fault of immigrants. We're not saying immigration is the fault of immigrants. That's not what we're saying. And if that's what you mean specifically, just that aspect, that immigration isn't the fault of immigrants, they're leveraging, taking advantage of, and using the immigration laws of the countries that they're looking to immigrate to their advantage. And why not? And so, from that perspective, the government definitely holds the cards and holds the responsibility. And dare I say, they're doing a pretty SHIT job of it. So, but yeah, immigrants going to a country, though, definitely have a responsibility in terms of what some of the concerns are and some of the things that happen. And again, like I've shared on the other live, it's not just immigrants doing stupid stuff. Blink and heck, my own people, my own Māori people that I'm proud to be a Māori, call myself a Māori here in NZ and a Kiwi. Like, my own people, unfortunately, are doing stupid stuff. And to their own people and to other people, not of Māori heritage. So it's pretty rubbish all around, really. But there's definitely some changes that should happen and need to happen in regards to immigration policy. From my perspective, here in Aotearoa. I've seen this move at the corner of my eye. TLO, got to remember, back in those days, we just had big rocks and bigger rocks. None of the flash stuff you kids use. And ice cream containers. and cardboard boxes for sliding down the grass hills and trying to avoid all the cow pat on the way down. Yeah, crack up. Ha, roger that, Rubber Kiwi. It's a never-ending cycle. Don't get me started on the cycling rock. My butt hurts just thinking about it. Leg day sucked. The Flintstones, man. That's the Flintstones. That was like, those are the days, those blinking cartoons, when you had the opportunity to watch that and then go outside and then pretend that you were like Fred Flintstone and Barney, yelling out to Wilma. Crack up. Yep, that's those ones. How are we going? I think I'm up to date with all the comments, surprisingly. 9:41. My plan, by the way, isn't to go and try and break the 5-hour record that I did on Monday. So if people have had enough of me yapping or have got no other questions, I'm gonna pause here on these questions on this, because there's hundreds of them. Like I've never had hundreds of outstanding comments before, like outstanding in terms of me not having responded to them. So I'm gonna refresh that to get rid of the ones that I just hearted and gave a thumbs up to. And yeah, that hasn't really dented the comments that are there at all. So I'm gonna hit pause on there. It's this Iron Lion, that SAS mental toughness, most can only imagine. What's that part? Sorry, Iron Lion, I'm not sure. You might have said that comment ages ago. It's only just popped up for me now. Sorry, bro. Dun dun dun. Yeah, we'll leave that. Oh man, far out. There's so many comments on here. Some people that are not quite happy with some other people's comments in here as well. Shout out to those that said to me, man, you need a moderator. I think that's true, but I don't have anything to pay a moderator to be moderating the chat and all the comments in order to respond. So again, in this live, and I'll probably be doing that in future lives, because I don't know that I'm going to be, holy heck, excuse me, the Waimanuka must have come up a bit then. I don't know that I'm going to be able to, that I'm ever going to get around to responding to all these comments. So lives, the Monday, Wednesday lives, if people want to jump in and go, hey, you didn't bloody answer you didn't respond to my comment on your video on the Are We Becoming India video. Just don't be offended. There's literally there's hundreds of you that I haven't responded to, and I'm probably not going to get around to, because some people have really taken the time. Some comments I can just do a heart and a thumbs up, but yeah, man, I got mahi to do. I got work to do in terms of, and people might sit there and go, whatever, mate, you're bloody just doing YouTube. Well, yeah, that's my job. That's what I'm doing now. That's what I've chosen to do. So takes time doing those videos and blinking reacting off the cuff. It's not like I get to rehearse my reactions. I'm just gonna go in cold, hit play, and blink and pause it. And I'm probably pausing videos more often than I should. But that's because when something enters my head, and based on the reactions, and I'm trying to be clear about that, SAS Veteran reacts, so people aren't coming on there expecting to not see me talk. Because I've received a number of those comments too. Probably not so much recently, but no doubt I'll probably start getting those, because some things that pop up either trigger a lot of memories or thoughts, and or I just have stuff to say about it. So yeah, people will either stick around and come and watch it because they can see it's a reaction video, or they won't, or they'll just skip past it. But anyway, where was I going with that? Yeah, all these comments and questions that are in these videos, mostly Is New Zealand Becoming India, or New India video. That's the one where there's literally hundreds of comments that I have not responded to, and I'm not going to be able to. I'm not planning on prioritizing going through and responding to each one. That's why I said all my other videos usually might get 20, 50, 60 views, maybe a few hundred from time to time as a pretty popular video in my world. So to get a few thousand views in a short period of time on one video, I was like, holy heck, something's going on here. And then to not only get that many views, but then to get hundreds of comments is just another level again. And so, yeah, my little space, I can clearly see I don't have the capacity to go through and respond to all of those. So if you want to ask your questions, because I haven't answered them on any videos, whack them in the live, join the live Monday, Wednesdays, and who knows, maybe from time to time there'll be bonus lives on other days in the week, just depending on what happens and how much time I have. Online Kapai, bro. Rubber Kiwi need to sleep. Taking mum to get cancer results tomorrow. Have a good one. Oh, you too, bro. Hopefully mum's results go well. With regards to the cancer results. Geez, Jason C, what's going to happen when you've got 200 on a live? Going to have to filter questions, maybe if they're directed to you. Yeah, I've seen when I've gone on to what's his name? The Kiwi lad? Is it the Kiwi lad? Anyway, the rugby, he does the rugby stuff. He has thousands of people on there, and his chat is moving at a bazillion miles an hour when I watch it. I'm not necessarily watching his thing for the chat. I can just see the chat. Sometimes I'll glance over and have a look. And from time to time, I'll just type in there and go, hey, mate, good work. And then leave it. And then I see my comment pop up. I'm like, oh, there I am. And then it's just like, gone. So like half a second and it's gone. So I don't know how that works, or, what I would do. I guess I'd be trying to, I guess what I see that guy do, he does try to answer and respond to the majority of comments that get, and he tries to read them out, which I think is pretty awesome. But I also think, yeah, there probably comes a point whereby you just can't keep up with it all. And yeah, unfortunately, it'll be what it is. And so some people might have to repeat themselves, or they might copy and paste their question or their comment that they had if it doesn't get answered, if it gets pushed. Wouldn't that be a nice problem to have, Jason C? Imagine that, my little channel getting, what did you say, 200 on a live. Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, cool for me. I don't know about cool for people that, that might come along and join the live. Crazy World, great answer, crack up. I just stumbled across your live. Oh, Crazy World. Oh, bloody hell, I just refreshed my page. So what was your question again? Or comment? Oh, here it is. No, it's here. Yeah, it isn't the fault of immigrants. We do not have a border with anyone. The blame lies squarely at the feet of New Zealand governments. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you stumbled upon the live and that you heard my reply to that. So, yeah, that's my take on it anyway, bro. But yeah, appreciate you spending time and joining the live, managing to stumble upon it. What's this? Yeah, back to Rubber Kiwi again. Hopefully everything goes well, bro, with mum getting cancer results. Bloody hell. Jason C, respond to at. Oh, okay. Is that going to maybe if they're directed to you? Is that a filter that I add, Jason? If I add at Joe, does that mean it'll come direct to me? I'm not sure. Rubber Kiwi, good thing not responding to comments isn't punishable with the death penalty yet. Well, at the rate our bloody country's going, in other countries, who knows if the death penalty will be brought in. Maybe, actually, I wouldn't put it past old Dumbanese and the Labour government in Australia to introduce a death penalty for saying mean words about the Labour Party. Bloody rubbish. At Lion Eye, no apologies necessary. To get a reply from you is an honour. Nothing but love for what you do, bro. All the best. Ka kite anō, bro. Hey, same to you. At Iron Lion 16. Bro, thank you for the kind words and for your time. I realise you're likely not here now because it took me blinking forever to get to your to your question, to your comment. But appreciate you stopping by. And likewise to all of you. The Jason C's 9755 of the worlds, the Crazy World 7115. We just stumbled upon my live. Rubber Kiwi. TLO 65432, Fire 2500, drawn by Daniel, Blinking Dan Kidd, just scrolling back up here now. Cherry, Charlie 29, Blinking Heck, any of the usual suspects that talk 5018, Buckaroony, Mr. Buck, as I scroll back up, John Connor, that's a new person for me, but you had a few comments and stuff on here tonight. Thank you as well. Just having a look, seeing if there's any other ones. I think the rest are probably the usual suspects, on here. There might have been a couple of other ones, so my apologies for missing some of the people that might not normally comment. Still having a look, scrolling up. Pleasant Strolls, that's another one. Apologies, bro. You've been on a couple. and commented. And even just this, scrolling through these, this is new territory for me. As of Monday and tonight, I definitely never get this many comments in the comments or in the chat. TX 200 MK5 shooter. How could I forget that fella? And he put in the joules thing, 440 joules. So thank you very much to everyone, eh? Anyone that stopped by here, even if you haven't commented, but you've stopped by and lurked in the background to see what's this bloody humbug talking about. Not sure thing you can separate those chats or if it's just highlighted. Oh, okay, cool. Well, even a highlighted chat would probably stand out more, because that's the only reason I saw the TX 200 MK5 shooter joules thing, because it had this little thing pop up near the top of the chats that were there. So maybe that's something I need to look at doing. But appreciate you all. Thank you for your time. Again, Rubber Kiwi, hopefully all goes well with Mum and the cancer results and stuff. Shout out to Nick Miles over there in Perth. Apologies for the tragic passing of your father, bro. Glad that we could connect and have a little bit of a laugh over the phone not too long ago. I hope the service and everything goes well, but shout out to you and your family. Who else was there? Connect. Yeah, and just to those in general that are kind enough to support and follow my channel. Yeah, it's definitely not wasted, is the words I'm looking for. Not wasted on me. Appreciate your fellas' time. Appreciate your support. The comments, the opinions, the questions and comments that you throw out, or your thoughts, your whakaaro in and around certain topics and things. Share that knowledge and information that you have, that experience that you have, in a way that causes me to think in other ways too, and things that I definitely didn't consider and probably wouldn't have considered if you hadn't have mentioned those things. So yeah, just grateful. It's cool. If this space continues to grow and or grows, I think it will. It's just going to take some time, like I've shared, with support of people like yourselves, and people feel comfortable enough to share what it is that they think, and they deliver that in a way that isn't a dickhead, or they don't come across like a dickhead, then hopefully they find the ability and the space here in this place that I've got anyway, to be able to do that, and not be slammed as a result. Unless you are a twat, then I will just use mean words and call you names, and you'll either stay and call me names back, or you'll truck off. Either way, like what's his name? _, what was it? Blinken colonial _Epstein _regimes. That bloody ball bag. He hasn't come back. He didn't make an appearance on here this evening, which is good. But he decided to litter the chat on Monday night. Until such time as I told that twat to blink, and well, it wasn't because of then. He probably just got a whore and thought, oh, this guy isn't going to listen to me. He isn't going to be brave and read wider, like I've said. Yeah, blinking clown. Anyway, that's it, eh? Look after yourselves. Hopefully, if nothing else, you had a bit of a laugh at certain stages, either a laugh with me or a laugh at me, or a laugh at some of the comments in the chat that happens on here. But look after yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your week. Look after those that you care about, and keep smashing away until you achieve those things that it is that you're wanting to achieve, you and or your family members, etc. So I'll see yous. No, yous will see me on the next one. Paul Marie peeps. That's good night, good evening. Ka kite, see you later. Or ka kite anō, see you again, see you later on. And yeah, again, look after yourselves. End stream. Cheers to Jace. Back at your crazy world. End stream.